everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 218. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
Connor's here too.
Yeah, I am.
As a DC Comics podcast, every week we get together, we talk about the DC Comics that came out this week that we read. Coming up on this week's show, we have Dark Knight's Death Metal Trinity Crisis, issue 1. Wonder Woman 762, Superman 25, The Flash 761, Hawkman 27, Batman and the Outsiders number 16, and Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 5. But it's also Solicits week in the mud, so we got some deep Solicits to go into, and they're actually quite eventful Solicits, so that should be a fun time. And there is the slight possibility that we'll have a new segment at the end with news coming out of DC Fandom Part 2. But we'll see. We'll see if anything interesting actually comes out. But we're going to save it all for the end if anything does come out and do a new segment at the end. And if there isn't one at the end, it just means there was no news worth talking about. So we will check at that time. So what's wrong with you two? You're not trying to upset me with shitty hockey talk, or?
No, because it's Western Conference Finals, and I'm not talking trash. So
He doesn't want to jinx it.
Exactly.
I made a great improvement to my life this week. I went on my Twitter and I muted the phrase "Go Knights Go" and the phrase "Vegas Born," and all of a sudden, all those Matt tweets that were flooding my Twitter account every time they were playing a game are now not there. It's great.
All right, now I know to change the hashtag.
So. Yeah, you've just given.
I'll just mute whatever you change it to. I'll just keep muting things.
Well, he'll just do a different one every tweet.
Yep.
But why are they for my benefit? You don't want me to see them. Why do you care if I see them?
See, he didn't until you made a point of telling him that you'd muted it.
I'll just mute his entire Twitter then. Easy.
All right. Miss out on great takes, like Shea Theodore for Conn Smythe.
I understand a single thing you just said, but
I will say the single most disappointed I've been that wasn't a win or loss was when they took away Shea's goal in Game 2.
Such a good goal.
It was. Holy crap! It was Fuller. Goal. It was Fuller level slap shot there, Pete. So.
Okay.
You know who Fuller is from Mighty Ducks.
No, I do. I'm
Okay.
I'm sitting here. I'm waiting for it to pass. All right. I'm just. It's like sometimes you can't force it out. You have to just sit and let it flow through you, and you'll get out the toilet much quicker.
Just when you think it's clear, it's gonna come back up. So,
see a doctor, Matt.
Well,
So we get to with DC Comics. Dear. Yes, mostly. Although the one bit of news that dropped before the fandom stuff was that Doom Patrol officially got renewed for season 3. So.
Oh, good. I should finish season 1.
Thank God.
Goddamn sure.
They announced. I saw it just on Twitter from the Doom Patrol account with just like.
Yes, or I saw it as well, just on Twitter.
Like, yeah, you think we were going to leave you hanging, and we didn't. We had expected this, and we were expecting
you guys might be able
a
to
fandom announcement. So.
Fill me in on this with Brendan Fraser. What's up with him and coffee? Because I saw a post in one of the theme park groups I'm in that people were going to line up. He was supposed to do some con in Orlando, and people were going to bring him coffee. Did he famously say something?
I have no idea.
It's news to me.
Is this a thing where, in Lost in Translation, Bill Murray's doing ads in Japan for something? Is this like that?
I don't know.
Where Fraser did like an ad for coffee in some random country, and now all of a sudden he's got this coffee meme thing?
So
no
I don't know, but I saw people bringing it up, and but yeah, I guess he was supposed to do a con during the summer, but the pandemic happened and then everything got canceled. But people were like, yeah, I was planning on bringing him coffee, and it was like multiple people. So hey, if you're listening to this and you know what that's about, please clue me in. I'm old, and internet's hard sometimes.
So a quick Google has revealed to me, I think, without getting into it too heavily, is apparently he said in an interview once, I would have enjoyed this interview more if I had coffee.
Oh, yeah. I love that man. I really do.
So basically, he complained that he didn't have coffee at the interview,
and now ever since he's had fans bring him coffee.
Yes, there you
go.
That's the genesis.
More coffee than he could ever want.
It's not a bad problem to have, let's be honest.
No, well, and that's coming from you, who didn't like coffee as of 2 months ago.
But even still, I'm not going to turn it down if it's free. someone gives it to me, I'm gonna go, thank you, I will take this. Even if I don't want it, there is now more than I could want. It's a good thing.
Nah, it's disgusting. I'll pour it all away. Every last drop.
Energy mud is fantastic.
For every last drop, I'm pouring down the shitter. All right, let's get into the solicits for December, which is what we're
very scatological this morning, there, Pete.
Scatological, what a word!
Yeah,
that's a good word.
Yeah.
Can we spin this into multiple variations? Like scatology is the study of.
I actually believe that's what it is.
Is it? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I believe so.
If you're not sure,
I'm not searching it.
Susie Dent, and I'm sure she'll be able to fill you in on the history of it all.
What do you do? I'm a scatologist. What's that? I study shite. Alright. Solicits, December DC Comics Solicits. They are pretty meaty, actually. Only one cancellation. We'll get to that when we get to it. But there is a lot of stuff going on. And I think what I'll say before we go into the meat of this, I think it's very clear that December and Endless Winter as a whole is essentially, here's have a 1 month sort of crossover thing to tide us over for a late month. Well, otherwise late month. Obviously, it's not late with Endless Winter. Because in January, all the post-death metal stuff, which is kicking off, or post-rebirth era, whatever it's called, is coming. So
it's weirdly the most Marvel DC's been since Rebirth.
It is. But here's the thing, though, because they don't do it every third month, I'm not annoyed by
nice.
it.
The last time we had an event of this particular style, I believe, was the Suicide Squad Justice League.
Yeah.
Well, not even.
It
was just Suicide Squad versus Justice League, but or was that way around?
Those two books, I think, tied in though too.
What two books?
So they were in capped with the Suicide Squad and the Justice League books.
Okay, sure, but that's still like the main story was all in this miniseries, and okay, two books tied into it. This is different. This is your. There's a book that starts and ends it, but all the parts of the story are actually in other books or one-off specials in between.
Yeah, it's like Witching Hour, kind of, with Wonder Woman and Justice League Dark.
The thing
more
that
encompassing.
My mind jumps to, I don't know if they've done it in a while, but like they used to do those things with X-Men where it was like the Alpha issue and the Beta, or the Omega issue, I think was the second one, the last one. And then all the other ones would be in between in the main books.
I see Ben Percy tweeting about Wolverine, and I want to get excited because I like Ben Percy. And then I remember what's going on in X-Men, and I have zero clue. And it makes me a little bit sad.
Every single time I see him tweet about it, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a Ben Percy Wolverine book. And then I go, oh yeah, it's that current Wolverine.
So it's also Bogdanovich as well, which...
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons to want to be into it, but then it's connected to all that Hickman stuff. And I know some people out there, you love your Hickman, that's great, but...
Yeah, and I like the setup for it, but just to, I don't know, to warden off X-Men on their own section, it kind of makes Marvel less good, because going and catching up on all new Wolverine, I like the idea that, Laura could interact with different superheroes. Like her having to talk to Captain America at one point, that's pretty cool. So,
yeah,
but this doesn't feel like that. This definitely feels like Pete said, it's to hold things over because of death metal, and
it feels
fun.
It feels mean to say that it's kind of a filler month of like that's just this crossover for the sake of having a fun crossover, but that's actually a bad thing if it's fun.
No.
It's not even like it's just Endless Winter though, because you've got a couple more of the Tales from the Dark Multiverse one shots and things like that. A few extra death metal one shot tie-ins. All of it all together feels like if you take out all this superfluous, extra stuff for this month, the core line would be very lacking. Even
to the point where like there's a Flash issue that's part of Endless Winter, but there's no second Flash issue, I don't think, from my skim yesterday. I mean, if I'm wrong, we'll find out when we go through it. But so yeah. But hey, let's dive into it. Before we get to the Endless Winter stuff, though, actually the headlining of the Solicits is the Batman Catwoman, which is actually slightly early because we were expecting this
next
year, I think, past a certain point.
I mean, originally it was supposed to be January of this year, but
that's true.
We were kind of at the point now where we were just expecting, sometime 21.
Yeah. It's funny because obviously King's Batman went downhill, but this is a 12-issue book, and King's 12-issue books tend to be very strong, and we've got this one, obviously Rorschach's going to be a couple issues ahead. come this month. But so this is finally coming. I don't think there's too much to say, except for the fact that they were on Twitter were teasing a character who's going to be in this story.
This isn't. Yeah, I mean, they announced this back when they announced the book originally. Assuming it's the same character I think you're talking about.
Well, I didn't remember them announcing this, but I'm talking about Phantasm.
Yeah, we spoke about this on the
part
show.
Did we? I can't remember.
Yeah, way back.
Yeah, I think you put it out just because we didn't know when it was coming out. So you're like, I'll get excited about this when there's an announcement.
That's entirely possible. But they were teasing images this week on Twitter.
And
the only other thing we learned about it that I can think of is that it's actually set after Bruce dies, and it's like Selina reminiscing for parts of it, I think.
Yeah, because they bring up Helena as Batwoman in that solicit. But real quick, I hadn't seen Mask of the Phantasm since I was 8 until they threw it up on HBO Max. And holy crap, what a movie. That is a good story.
It's been a long time since I've seen it myself, but I do remember it being fantastic.
So the fact that that's the touchstone that King wants to touch on, which, I thought, oh, cool, Phantasm. You're going to pop the 90s fans a little bit. But then when I realized who Andrea Beaumont is and what she means to Bruce and what that is for, this Batman Catwoman book, which I'm a little disappointed they didn't call it Bat and Cat. Like, I get Batman Catwoman, but them calling it Bat and Cat would have been a good... I
think it's a cynical thing where they know they'll sell more copies if the names are just spelled fully.
Yeah.
That's basically
but I'm still going to call it Bat Cat, because that's the more Tom King name, right?
I think it's a fine abbreviation. It works for it, if you want to call it that. The next thing is we have the return of Batman Black and White with issue 1 of this anthology series. We have a host of creators on this. This is a 48-page, $6 book, 1 of 6. We got James Tynion IV, J.H. Williams III, Paul Dini, Emma Rios, and G. Willow Wilson on the writing side. Art by Trad Moore, J.H. Williams III again, Andy Kubert, Emma Rios, and Greg Smallwood.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because I'm a big fan of Batman Black and White. It's our continuity, just little short stories. Creators, do your thing. Some of them can get really creative and really strong. Big fan of that. I'm surprised at the format of this. I'm surprised that in the current, DC's current mindset, that this isn't a digital first thing, where they didn't do them all as individual digital first and then collect them into this.
But it's Batman, and they know they can print Batman and people will sell.
Yeah.
Because the last time my shop had a line was 3 Jokers. So
he said that as if it was ages ago. That was like last week.
But before that, I can't. But before that, I can't tell you when the last time they had a line of people.
Is that possibly due to the fact that there's been a pandemic for the last several months?
No, because my shop, while they do pretty good business for comics, it's also a game store where they do a lot of Magic the Gathering. So not that comic books are secondary, but comics aren't the main focus of people that go in there a lot. So you have the regulars like me and some of the other guys. But yeah, I do know he's had to put limits on certain books because of speculators and whatnot. But as of lines, like, I can't tell you the last time he said there was people waiting to get in.
Yeah, I think all we have to know about this is that Paul Dini's doing a story about an infestation of ninja man bats in the Batcave.
And not just that, Tynion doing Ra's al Ghul, which I'm a fan of that. Because Ra's is part of Tech. Am I crossing that over?
No.
Am I mixing stuff up?
No, Ra's was definitely.
Okay.
What was he?
I can't remember if Tynion used him or not. No?
There was a lot of League of Shadows involved.
Yeah. So, and this is League of Assassins, so that's good. And then Wilson and Smallwood doing a Killer Croc story, which is cool.
I'm also down for anything by J.H. Williams, just for the art. I don't care what it is. It will look fantastic. And
but that the layouts are gonna really
the Williams story literally just says it's a trip through the Dark Knight's history, which tells me is it's going to essentially be a lot of 2-page spreads of big moments from.
I don't know. I don't think he doesn't do big spreads as a rule. He does lots of interwoven layouts.
Okay. I say spreads. I really mean 2-page layouts with his fancy. Everything has to fit into a bat logo or all these triangles and shit.
Paquette does kind of the same, but with more of a trippy.
Paquette does it with. He tends to play the borders of his panels into the theme. So on Swamp Things, a lot of vines. Wonder Woman uses lassos and stuff like that. Williams' panels are a lot more free flowing. There's not a lot of hard edges. There's a lot of just soft shapes that kind of blend from panel to panel.
That said, if I have to watch the Waynes get murdered again, I'm gonna throw the book across the room.
It does just kind of sound like an excuse for Williams to draw a lot of classic bat moments.
Different bat suits, I think, will be what we see.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's Black and White issue 1 that comes out in December. As most of these do. There's actually a few that don't. There's a couple of solicits for the first week in January, which I'll point out as we get to them. So we have Justice League Endless Winter issue 1 of 2. The second one comes at the end of the month. It's a 5-week month. So first week of the month we have issue 1. Andy Lanning and Ron Mars are the writers across all of the parts of the story, I believe.
All 9.
Yeah. Howard Porter's the art on this issue.
Yeah. And there's a backup art by Marco Santucci.
Yeah, and I'll read the solicit for this first one. I'm not going to do it for all of them, obviously, but I'll read it for this first one just to give a sense of what the story may actually be. So, Endless Winter Chapter 1, the crossover event of the season begins here. Also ends pretty much here too, because it's the same month. The Justice League encounters an extinction-level global storm brewing at the former site of the Fortress of Solitude. Oh, that's interesting. I hadn't read this yet, so I'm just reacting to this as I read it. Enter the Frost King. We have a new Frost Villain.
Yeah, I've got some. I've just read a general synopsis of what they've kind of put out there as a selling point, which I'll talk about after we read this.
Okay, go ahead. It sounds like the Night's King to me.
Yeah, enter the Frost King, a monster mad with power with an army at his command. What devastating mystery lies in his past, and how is he tied to Queen Hippolyta, Swamp Thing, the Viking Prince, and the reluctant ally, Black Adam? 2 timelines will reveal further clues and secrets throughout each chapter of this blockbuster tale.
This feels like Jason Aaron's Avengers, and I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, so they kind of put out like interviews and just premise things that I think do a better job of what it is than just that. So I'm going to just kind of relay some of that from memory because I'm not looking at it right now.
Go on.
Basically, it's very heavily inspired by Norse mythology.
All right, I'm in.
Yeah, the Frost King is it's basically there's the 2-year winter before Ragnarok. This is that winter essentially, and the Frost King is what brings it about. He tried in the past in like the 10th century, and was stopped by a team of essentially Viking Justice Leaguers. I don't know if they'll have the same powers or it'll be the same lineup, but a Viking team essentially. And that's what the other timeline will be. Each chapter will be seeing.
They're going to be far too tempted to at least have them visually kind of remind us of the current Justice League. There's going to be one in red. There's going to be one in blue. There's going,
yeah.
And I'm wondering how like Hippolyta, Swamp Thing, Viking Prince, how they all play in to those archetypes. Because I mean, Hippolyta's right there.
That's it. Hippolyta and Black Adam, I assume, could have just been there,
right?
At the time, Swamp Thing could have memories of ever the Green at that time.
Yeah, and in the current incarnation, as Ram V pointed out in the last Justice League Dark, he can go between multiverses and stuff now with everything that Green touches. So
when did you say this last attempt happened?
10th century. So.
900 AD, which is the prime age of the Vikings.
Which is but that's comfortably after the time of like ancient Egypt. That's comfortably after Black Adam's time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was making sure I heard 800 years before I said something stupid.
Yeah. So yeah.
If it had been 8,000, I might.
So I'm trying to see what if Black Adam's their version of Superman because he's magic and from elsewhere.
Let me go. I'll read through what these other books are then that are part of this. So part 2 is the Flash 767, and then we got. I'll mention the artists as we go as well. That's Clayton Henry on the art for that one. And then the third part is Superman Endless Winter Special issue 1. So some of them are winter specials, and that's because either the character doesn't have a book, or because the issue of that character's book that month is still kind of important, so they couldn't take it.
Basically, if it has an ongoing, there's one exception I think. If it has an ongoing book with a regular team, they got a special.
So
if they didn't, then they just take the normal issue.
They are on Superman Endless Winter Special is Phil Hester and Andy Parks. Aquaman 66 is part 4, and that's Miguel Medoncha on the art. And then Justice League 58 is part 5, and that's got Zermanico on the art, so that'll be maybe the nicest looking. I mean, I've not read the rest of the art shit, admittedly, but I'm liking the Zermanico so far. Jesus Marino is on the next one, which is Teen Titans Endless Winter Special issue 1, that's part 6. And then we got Justice League Dark 29, which is part 7. That's Amanke Nulopin on the art. And then we have Black Adam Endless Winter Special issue 1, which is part 8. And that's Brandon Peterson on the art. And then part 9, as we said kind of previously, Justice League Endless Winter issue 2. And that's got Howard Porter and Carmine Di Giandomenico on the art. So there you go, that's your... The 2 Justice League issues, the start and the end, are both oversized, so they're both 40 pages for $5. All the ones in between are all normal.
Yeah, I did just check. The Hippolyta, Black Adam, Swamp Thing, and Viking Prince, they were the team in the the Viking era that were fighting him then.
That seems to check out. Let me just say, you get to... I didn't realize any of this. I had seen the Frost King and the Viking Prince stuff. I did not realize that fire trolls were going to play a key part in how into Norse mythology this goes.
Yeah, I think it's reasonably far. I don't know how much they're going to play with it, but they were saying for them it's a lot of fun because DC doesn't play with a lot of Norse mythology, unlike Marvel, which obviously has done.
Right.
So it's kind of uncharted territory to do in the DC universe for a lot of this. So they're having a lot of fun with it.
Well, much like the us saying we're not sick of events like this because DC haven't done one in ages, so it feels kind of special them doing it now. The same kind of goes with the Norse mythology, because Thor's always around in Marvel, it's always kind of an underlying thing, and depending on who's writing Thor and what they're doing with Thor, it keeps creeping back into what's going on. This is such a novelty that...
we spend so much time with Greek mythology in the DC universe because of Wonder Woman. And don't get me wrong, I know Marvel does play with that occasionally as well, like they have, Hercules, for example. But, the comparison is definitely Wonder Woman and Thor, I think, is the fairer comparison here, and how much time they spend with those respective mythologies. So it does feel a little bit more unique doing the other one.
So that is your Endless Winter 9-part story, which we'll be doing throughout the month of December. So before
we move on that, though, Justice League Dark, because that was the one exception where it does have an ongoing writer. And last month we were speculating because it sounded like it could have been in the end, or we weren't sure. But Ramvi did confirm on Twitter that he is back in January's issue with the next part of his run. So that is continuing.
It's worth mentioning the first and last parts, which are the Justice League issues, they're on their own in the 1st and 5th weeks of December. The rest of the parts are spread out over the 3 weeks in between. I think there's 2 on the 2nd week, 3 in the 3rd week, and then 2 again on the 4th week, assuming that adds up to 9. I think that's spread out. So
I also appreciate that the one-shots in the middle are not extra priced. It's like, the ones where they're using the regular books anyway, I think they'd have not struggled with, but there would have been some backlash.
Yeah,
I mean, for those, but the one shots they probably could have gotten away with. So I'm glad they didn't.
They could have done, and if they were longer, like at least we'd look at it and go, well, they are longer. But they are regular size, regular price, so there's not really any reason to be mad at that. We do have some big one shots coming, although this first one that we're going to talk about is in January. This is the 5th of January. This is coming out. This is Generation Shattered issue 1, and this seems to be kind of teeing into whatever's coming next, this transitionary phase that we've got here. So we have a whole list of creators on this. We got 3 writers. We got Dan Jurgens, Andy Schmidt, and Robert Venditti writing. We have art by a bunch of people. This is an 80-page book, so there's a lot of artists. Ivan Reis, Brian Hitch, Kevin Nolan, Aaron Lopresti, Fernando Passarin, Paul Pelletier, and it says others as well. So that's cool. So I'm going to read the description for this one, because this is obviously just this random one-shot.
It's obviously, just from the name alone, this is a reworking of what the Generations was originally going to be.
It conjures in your mind, what we were talking about a year ago. So, a threat of cosmic proportions to DC's newest and oldest universe compels one of the most unusual groups of heroes ever assembled to take on the most mysterious foe they've ever encountered. What started in Detective Comics 1027 explodes
next week, I think.
Yeah, explodes out of Dark Knight's death metal to tell the story of the generation-spanning history of the DC universe. Join the original Batman, Kamandi, Starfire, Sinestro, Booster Gold, Dr. Light, Steel, and Sinestro. It said Sinestro twice there.
Yeah, so did we mention Sinestro? Because you're getting Sinestro. That's what that was.
Well, and we've got points to say on these.
Yeah, but that's obviously a mistake that they've put Sinestro twice.
Yeah.
And because I questioned myself, I got to the end of the list and went, wait, did I want to say Sinestro? And their quest to save the universe before time runs out. Yeah.
Right. So, a couple of big things. It says original Batman. And if you look on the cover, it is very much that original.
Yeah, it's got the sort of curved, pointy ears from Detective Comics 27.
The purple
Starfire
gloves.
is very 80s
Wolfman,
looking.
Yeah. Dress.
Yeah, your Sinestro is in a Green Lantern uniform.
Steel's Reign of Superman.
Yeah, it's definitely playing with history and how exactly that's going to work.
And then you have Booster and Kamandi, who are from two alternate futures.
Yeah, they're all from different eras in DC's history.
What's the Dr. Light connection that I'm missing? Because all the others I can kind of explain.
I'm wondering if just Dr. Light is, because of Light, and she's the good one. She's not the evil.
True.
Dr. Light, and because of her power set, Yeah,
it's not even just that it's different periods in DC's history. It's also the literal history of different reboots and different versions of characters.
It's conflicting histories as well.
Yeah, so very intrigued by this, and I do feel that this is going to be important. Maybe when I say important, I feel like it is going to be nicely leading into whatever's coming next. And yeah, maybe this is a reworking for whatever some of those one shots they had planned for Generations. Maybe they reworked some of the story into this.
Yeah, I do love that Jurgens is working on this, because that makes him he's almost like the keeper of continuity almost, because he's always working on these books during the transitions. Right?
Yeah, and
he is.
Obviously, Jurgens on Booster Gold and even Steel to a certain degree.
Yeah,
makes some sense.
Venditti and Passarin are in there, who obviously that's the current team for Hawkman and what they're doing with that, and playing with history and the JSA. So I wonder maybe if that'll come into play somehow.
I could definitely see something like that. So that is the first week of January, so that's not actually December itself, but
yeah, and how we know this is DDO's last project is Kamandi's there. If it was OMAC, we'd know for sure, but Kamandi being there,
And honestly, this solicit has me more interested in Detective 1027.
Me too. Because I was this close to thinking I'm gonna skip it, because I'm like, it's
like
whatever.
150 pages. I'm like, that's a lot of comic to read next week.
So
144 to be precise.
I'm sorry, I rounded
that's a
slightly.
Trade.
Basically,
that's a 6-issue trade.
Yeah.
Good Lord, yeah. I might skim through it.
Yeah, I might pick out some. I might cherry pick some stories.
Well, I'm going to read all of it. Don't worry, everyone. I'll cover every story in the book. Unlike
some of us have lives.
I challenge that exponentially. Dark Knight's Death Metal: The Secret Origin issue 1 is next. This is a 48-page one-shot. This is coming out at the start of December. This is written by Scott Snyder and Jeff Johns, interestingly. Art by Ryan Benjamin. Does have a Gary Frank cover, which everyone's been sharing around because it's beautiful.
Should note variant cover.
Variant cover, sorry, yes.
But, I mean, it is phenomenal.
It's the one you want to share.
Yeah, but the other cover's by Ivan Reis, so...
I mean, it'll look good, but...
Yeah, but it's
next to Frank.
Yeah, but
this image came out, it was plastered all over comic book Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
So even if I was trying to stay away from this, there was no way. And it's one of those images that the more you look at it, the more as a DC fan, the more excited I get. Like, this has the possibility to be a huge letdown because I'm over, my expectations are just too high. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah, this is interesting because I feel like maybe it's also tying in the same way that metal in general is tying into whatever's coming next. But at the same time, it's also paying off in stuff that's actually set up in the one shot we got this week. So we'll save.
It is, and we should say what it actually is as well.
Yes, the description.
We're describing this cover, and it's Gary Bryan is drawing the JSA, the traditional.
Yep.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yeah, the GSA is on the cover. Yeah, there's the old school GSA on the cover.
But
they're not actually mentioned by name in the solicits.
Yeah, but it's not just that. Power Girl's there.
Yes.
Like.
Yeah.
What? That doesn't check out.
And
that's interesting.
Part of a wider image. There is at least 3 parts that we've seen.
At minimum,
looks like it might be another one on the right of what we've seen so far, with the way there's a cape cutting in from that.
Yep.
So, yeah, I won't read the description of this one just because the main thing that it mentions is something that actually comes up in the one shot we're about to talk about later. So, we'll just move on from here. But so that's coming out early December. Then we have, and I think John's been involved in that one's interesting, maybe to help Snyder set up his JSA a little bit.
Well, it almost makes you wonder, like, so the 3 images they put together almost looks like DC through time. You had Superman in the middle there. That looks very Silver Agey, but you also have the 80s era Titans with and then on the 3rd cover, it seems more like it's kind of late 70s with some Doom Patrol members.
Well, Matt, we're just getting to one of those books, so we'll jump in here.
But anyways, you brought up John's. It makes me wonder if this is finally paying off the metaverse stuff that he set up through Doomsday Clock.
Oh, very possibly. So the next book is Dark Knight's Death Metal, The Last Stories of the DC Universe, issue 1. This is an 80-page one-shot, which is coming out in December. And we have stories by Scott Snyder, James Tynion IV, Joshua Williamson, Mark Waid, Gil Simone.
You had not seen this part before.
No, I had seen this. I'd read this earlier. I was emphasizing it.
I just like the idea that you didn't. Just go with it.
No. I'm not letting you apply falsehood to things just because you assumed something.
And I don't like what they've done with these covers. Because now I have to choose, and I don't like that.
Hold on a second. Alright, so I'll finish my list, right? So Mark Waid, Gail Simone, Mariko Tamaki, Jeff Lemire, Cecil Castellucci, and Christopher Sabella. I mean, the last 2 aren't super exciting, but everyone before that was like...
I've read a couple of things by Sabella, and that I've really enjoyed.
Sabella's very vocal on Twitter. That's how I'm familiar with that name.
I don't know who it is, but Castellucci I know I'm not super in love with. And again, admittedly, did have some things stacked against her when it came here back or run. But this list of creators is super notable, not just because of Mark Waid. It's basically...
I mean, Gail Simone hasn't had like an ongoing DC book in a while.
Well, that's true.
She's also a liar, so are we sure this is her?
Very good. No, but if you look at this, like Snyder, Tynion, Williamson, even Tamaki, because she's on Wonder Woman, you have basically like some of the bigger ongoing writers right now, mixed with some of the bigger legacy writers of Mark Waid, Simone, and Lemire. Like, it's a very interesting list.
It is interesting. Snyder and Lemire are kind of not the old guard at this point, but they're just the generation before. And Snyder is like, still spearheading this one. He's just at he's kind of just a bit above, right, in terms of the regular.
You could argue there's 4 generations there, where you have Mark Waid and Simone, and then you have Snyder and Lemire, and then you have Tynion and Williamson and Tamaki, and then Castellucci and Sabella. So there's like 4.
That's true, yeah. Because Tynion, Williamson, and Tamaki, I'm considering like the current generation. I guess you could say Castellucci and Sabella are maybe, are they looking at the next generation?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Perhaps.
As far as DC's concerned, that's how I'm structuring it. Although Mark Waid...
This is the... I mean, obviously Mark Waid's super exciting for lots of reasons. We said as soon as Didio was gone, I was like, hey, Mark Waid could come back now. And hopefully this leads to some more stuff for him.
Yeah, I'm on speed dial. But like the bat phone.
Maybe on a certain book that's needing a new writer in January.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. Told you horses. Yeah. Right?
I'm not saying anything.
So this is the second Gary Frank variant. This is the one with Superman, with the Teen Titans.
And the Doom Patrol.
And the Doom Patrol and a couple other people. So, and that does clearly connect up to the side of the previous cover. You can see the arm of, who was that at the side?
Adam Smasher.
Yeah, Adam Smasher. Or Jed's Dam, yeah. So, Yeah, this is the thing. Where you look at some of these books and you see the 80 page, and I'm like, oh, 80 pages. Is this one of these? Because there's a holiday special coming up later, which obviously I think we're all going to skip.
Yeah.
But this is like, no, this seems super important, and it's all these characters, it's all these writers that we care about. Like, what's going on?
This is Mark Waid's return to DC. I'm going to own this twice.
At least.
Because I'm going to need one to get one signed and then one to keep. Like, you know what I mean? So
it's worth mentioning, because I always map out the sort of the schedule for the month when the solicits come out. This actually does fall in a week with only a few other books. It's actually kind of nice how it's worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So they've not done us too dirty in terms of when these 80-page books fall, but this is exciting. This is super exciting, this one. Then we have Dark Knight's Death Metal 6, which is coming relatively early December. This is issue 6.
It's right in the middle. It's the 15th.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I swapped. It's written the American way. I saw the 12.
I know.
The
wrong way around. Anyway.
Let me just say something. Antlered Swamp Thing is the best Swamp Thing. That's just... Let me get that out right now.
I do not disagree.
I mean, I do disagree, but I really can't be arsed fighting about it, so it's going to be fun. So, yeah, Scott Snyder, Capullo with Jonathan Galapin. Has he been doing other? Has he been helping out in the art in the other issues, or is that a new thing?
Been the Inca with Capullo for years.
Has he? Okay.
Yeah, going back to like the I don't know.
It's just the way they've written it here. They've made it sound like he's you know.
Yeah, no, they're doing art
yeah.
Years at this point.
And then we have another one shot, which is Death Metal: The Last 52, War of the Multiverses, issue 1. Because of course this is the third Gary Frank variant cover with Batman and New Gods.
Mostly the Justice League International.
The Marvel family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elongated Man.
Yeah, you got.
He was part of that.
Yeah, you got Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel at the top. Yeah, and it does.
Sandman
it does look like there's another set of people to the right.
That's it. There's a cape coming in just at the bottom right corner that looks like there should be a fourth part.
And if we're looking at this as the history of the DC universe, we're missing in the '90s era where we get Tim Drake and Connor, Steele.
Hey, like honestly,
that era.
Matt, that looks like a Tim Drake cape to me.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
So right, black on the outside, red on the inside.
Yeah.
And you're talking Cash. You're talking about the Young Justice era.
It makes me suspect there might even be another 3 of these in January that make one big image of 6 or something like that.
And this Batman is very reminiscent of the one from the beginning of Doomsday Clock with the oval. Yeah. Right. Also very 80s, 70s, 80s Batman.
This. I don't know if it's maybe too hopeful to think that they're trying to give us an image of what DC is going to look like after this relaunch.
Like through the ages, so start, and then we're getting gradually closer, and then the last one will be a reveal of all the new costumes, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
And so this is where I feel like it's almost doing what we thought Generations was going to do, just not with that name, or maybe not as drastic, where you're putting completely new Batman in there,
Well, let me read what this one is here. So, Last 52, War of the Multiverses, issue 1, written by, again, this is 80 pages. This is coming out. This is a 5th week book in December, though, so it's a quiet week anyway, in terms of books. So we have Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, Magdalene Vizaggio, James Tynion IV, Kyle Higgins, Margaret Bennett, Matt Rosenberg, Justin Jordan, Regine Sawyer, and Shea Grayson. With art by Daniel Sampere and others. I assume a lot more others.
The others, yeah.
They did that on the last one as well, I think, of these, where it was just Manapul and others.
So Higgins, I like that. I'm a big fan of Higgins. Bennett, haven't
she I've
filled
enjoyed
in
everything
on that.
I've read from Bennett.
Yeah. Matt Rosenberg, it's a Marvel guy.
He is. I'm not
working in the X-Men world for the last couple of years.
I am not unhappy about Rosenberg jumping ship if that's what's happening.
I don't think either.
Because do you know? I mean, maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I do wonder if we look through the creators that are on these 3 books that have got all these Gary Frank variants that seem to be teasing and building to what's coming next. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the creators in those lists actually end up with books on the other end. Like they're all here strategically because they're going to be writing X character. And hell, I mean, admittedly, we'll probably have the news before we get to read these anyway. But let's say we didn't. When we get to this, like, you know, when we read, obviously I expect Tamaki to still be on Wonder Woman. That's why she's in one of the books. But like, you know, maybe Matt Rosenberg's writing, say, a Nightwing story. So wait, is he going to be doing Nightwing then afterwards? Like, for example.
Yeah. And I have a friend that was really big. I think Rosenberg did Punisher. He was really big on that. And I'm not a big Punisher guy. Maybe want to check that out. So, but I did like his Phoenix. You know, he did the Return of Jean Grey right before X-Men Red.
Yeah, I like that.
And it was really good. So this is exciting. I like when DC gets some new blood. Yeah. Just because we're so used to who we're used to that it's nice. Like, this is how I felt when Williamson came in, you know, and now we're used to Williamson after how many years, you know, and not that he's any less of a writer. It's just like, oh, we're used to you.
It's slightly less exciting because it's not brand shiny new. And kind of on that note, I know it's not in one of these books that we're kind of going, oh yeah, there's, you know, maybe something coming out of. Zdarsky, I think, has a story in one of the issues on Batman Black and White. Obviously not this first issue, but
well, he has a story in something else first, right? Is it Detective next week? He has one.
Maybe because he had that Harley story in the Dark Knights tie-in.
Yeah,
maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But I knew there was definitely something they'd done.
Yeah, there was definitely that. But obviously, and I thought, it's just a one thing. You know, it did a few pages, whatever. But then he's got Batman Black and White coming up. I'm like, okay, there's a relationship being formed here between him and whichever editors he's working with.
There's some bubbling going on, and I'm all for it. So I think this all as a whole is super exciting. There's actually at least one thing in one of the regular books this week that I'm going to talk about where I think it's kind of teeing something up for a change that's maybe going to carry forward into the new generation, if you want to call it that. I mean, whatever you know, the new rebirth, the new whatever. So it does feel like all the wheels are spinning, and maybe like let's say the generation one shots, which were meant to be like 6 of, I think. Maybe they have all been reshuffled and reformed into, like, you know, 3 or 4 of these 80-page books that are all coming in December and January. It's a bit more condensed, and we're going to be, like, you know, rampaging through them a bit quicker. But
obviously the way that it was structured, because that was obviously kind of working through the generations one by one. You know, it was like, you know, working through time. Whereas this seems very different now. But
yeah, I do feel like whatever this is, though, is probably came from whatever generations was. It's probably been reshuffled. Someone's taken the core idea and
and we know that Snyder kind of had to reshuffle something in Metal, right? That he kind of said they had to rework. So I'm wondering if it is, and John suddenly, you know, with how Doomsday Clock went and it getting so delayed that they're just using this to tie it in, and it's a happy accident. But also, I like that Snyder, you know, he's always wanted to play well with others. So, of course, he's going to be accommodating, even kind of as he's on his way out, because he has his, you know, creator-owned.
That's exciting. I mean, we've been saying that we've been in the mood for like another sort of refresh for about a year or so, I think. And I feel like this is coming at just... Maybe not the right time. Maybe it could have been a little bit earlier, but, like, honestly, it's exciting.
It's a little bit later than we'd have liked, because... You know, by the time we started hearing about this a little bit over a year ago, give or take, we were like, yeah, okay, we're kind of ready for that. And we were kind of ready then. I suspect we would have got this, you know, probably around now-ish if, you know, we hadn't shut everything down for months.
Oh, sure.
Which obviously isn't their fault, but I think it's just naturally delayed everything.
I would, because I'm not expecting everything to change. I'm expecting, like, Tamaki, I expect to still be on Wonder Woman. I think Tiny will still be on Batman, but a lot of the other stuff, obviously I expect some new big splash on Flash, because, you know, Williamson's ending his run, there's a couple of fill-ins, there's this tie-in issue, which obviously is just what's going on in Endless Winter.
Flash, probably Aquaman, Justice League, for sure.
Yeah, maybe some stuff coming back, like maybe a Green Arrow book, maybe...
Yeah.
You know, something.
I know I just compared Rosenberg to Williamson just for freshness, but Rosenberg on Flash could be cool.
It could be.
I honestly, I'm not sure if I've read much by Rosenberg, because I didn't read any of that, you know, highly acclaimed X stuff.
I always feel like it'd be too close to the Phoenix stuff, though, just like the Phoenix Force, because it was very Speed Force-y in that book. So I almost don't want him to do Flash, just so he's staying away from Speed Force things for a while. Just let him do something different.
I mean, that's fair.
But It is exciting though. All this is cool stuff. The Death Metal 7 Solicit is also here. Again, that's the first week of January. So, and it's interesting. I mean, admittedly, the third thing we have, which is like Strange Adventures, which we'll get to later. But this and the one shot both feel like they're there to tee up right before everything kicks off the following week. Would be my guess.
Yeah, and just correct for myself. I've been saying, I've not read much Burns, but it kind of dawned on me. I think I just double checked. He's been writing a Hawkeye Freefall, which I thought was delightful.
There you go.
So yeah, I'm in.
There you go. We mentioned there was going to be a Christmassy anthology special. I mean, let's be honest, we're going to skip this because we have a lot of other 80-page books to read in December. But DC's Very Merry Multiverse issue 1. It's a good title, if nothing else. I'll give it that.
Did we mention the ending of Metal there?
I mentioned 7's coming out.
7.
Yeah. Obviously, that's start January, but it mentions that there's multiple epilogues that lead into the next phase of the DC universe. Again,
that's not surprising.
No, it's not.
No, that happened with No Justice, right? Multiple epilogues.
Yeah, it did.
It did, yeah.
It had like multiple epilogues.
More just okay, that's we're hearing about that early in this context because it's a January book officially.
And it's
okay, stuff starting right after that.
Not surprising, but it's a little bit bigger. It's $1 more. It's a $6 48-page book. Which again, all these epilogues setting up whatever's coming next isn't that surprising.
Yeah.
We have a Jenny Hex special issue 1, which is not to do with Endless Winter. It's just a little.
Notably, one of the writer is one of the writers that was just on one of those big one shots.
It was, one of the names that I didn't recognize, Magdalene Visaggio, or Visaggio. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name there. Sorry, but Gleb Melenkov on the art. So this is a 48-page, $5 one shot about Jenny Hex, who has only been a member of the Young Justice so far, and it was a new character. And interesting that someone else that's not Bendis is stepping in to do a story.
Yeah, I might give this a try.
Jenny's a great character.
It's a 5th week book, so it's on that sort of perfect time of the month for them to maybe slip you an extra little book that you might not have tried otherwise. So that is cool. We're not done with one shot yet because we got a couple more of those Dark Multiverse Tales from the Dark Multiverse books. So the first one is Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is written by Steve Orlando, which means our interest, despite the fact that the cover's got Alan and Jay, and it looks like a really good cover. I hadn't
seen who was writing. I just kind of saw the cover and went, oh, more of these, and then
I know.
Mike Perkins art too.
I like Mike Perkins. I feel like
so. I pulled up Magdalene Visaggio just real quick. She comes from the DC Comics writer workshop under Snyder.
Oh, that's cool.
So this is one of Snyder's other people, but also it says that where'd it go? She got Eisner Awards for Best Limited Series. It was nominated, it didn't win. So, and then also 2019 award for Eternity Girl.
Oh, okay.
Which she wrote on Shade, The Changing Girl, JLA Doom Patrol Special. So, kind of over in that Young Animal.
So,
section.
I mean, the last big notable recruit from that pool was Tynan, and he turned out pretty well. So,
Yep.
A little shaky start. I don't think anyone really cared for his Talon series that much, but once we got
but he made Red Hood readable for me, so
next he cures cancer because it's equally impossible. So, well, I shouldn't say impossible, unlikely. Obviously, we all hope for it to happen, but
yeah. All right, hot takes aside, what's the next book?
That wasn't really a hot take, but
just trying to bail you out of trouble, Pete. Move on.
Just
I feel like we're taking the wrong meaning from what I was trying to joke about Red Hood, not have controversial opinions about wanting to cure cancer.
On you, so hey, what's the next thing?
All right, next one is Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Dark Knight's Metal issue 1, which is a mouthful of a title, and it's really funny that we're at the point now with these things that we're now doing the first Metal story as a Tales from the Dark Multiverse story. So that's odd. So that's Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing, and Scott Snyder writing.
Snyder is just doing a backup story, though.
There's the backup, okay. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, I've been very hit and miss with their fill-ins. There's been a couple that I've really liked, and then there was a couple that did in Green Arrow that I really didn't like. But then there was one that I did like. It was, I don't know.
I think they did some stuff on the Star Trek Year 5 book that I've been reading. They've done like an arc or two on that I've enjoyed. So I think overall I've enjoyed more than I haven't from them. Yeah,
the first Multiverse one there, Dark Multiverse story, is the middle of the month, and that second one is in the 5th week. So maybe I'll give it a chance because it's the 5th week. I have to admit, because of all these other more important one-shots coming out, these Tales from the Dark Multiverse ones seem a little less important, especially since we already kind of did the thing that the first batch was building up to. So these ones
that kept me going through a lot of them. Like, not that they were, some of them were really good, but some of the ones that where I was feeling like, do I care about this particular one? There was, but there's an overarching thing, and I don't know if that's the case this time.
Well, also for some reason, there's a third one, which is actually the first one that comes out of the 3, but it's been put last in the list for some stupid reason. Thanks, DC. So the last one
is it alphabetically the last?
Maybe.
Yes.
I mean, the order of this Solicits are all over the goddamn place.
But these 3 in particular have all been alphabetic.
Dark Metal, C, D, and then W. So yes.
Okay, so Tales from the Dark Multiverse, Wonder Woman, War of the Gods, issue 1, which is written by Vita Alea and art by Ariel Olivetti. So,
I've enjoyed Ayala's stuff that I've read so far. Not familiar with the art.
I think I have. I mean, she did a really good story on Supergirl. It was co-written maybe with Orlando, but it was one of the better Orlando written issues, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We also say that about Jodie Hauser.
That's true. But Jodie Hauser has also proven herself repeatedly.
No, I know, but it's just you always throw that in.
I know.
Just like in terms of DC stuff, Vita Ayala has done. She did a story in the last Metal Guidebook one shot. There was a story in Wonder Woman 750. Aquaman Annual issue 2. That was one of the Year of the Villain tie-ins. But just a handful of little things here and there that have added up.
So that is cool. Moving on, we have the 3rd issue of Batman Whitney Presents Harley Quinn. Not much to say. It's coming out. We got Batman.
Twins is riding the hyena. It's a pretty great visual.
We got Batman 104 and 105 coming out, as you would expect. Some nice enough covers, I guess.
Yeah, Tynan, he did his newsletter again this week for the first time in a while with a big bit on Batman, and talked about Clown Hunter. So that's the big new thing. And this next arc coming up after Joker War is going to be the big Clown Hunter arc. Originally, Clown Hunter wasn't actually going to be in Joker War at all. It was just that he saw people responded to Punchline really well when she was introduced a little bit earlier and kind of seeded in rather than just thrown in for her story. So decided to do the same thing with Clown Hunter and kind of built in a few extra scenes here or there over Joker War.
Cool. We also have Batman Annual, issue 5, which is written by Tynan, so it's not some guest writer.
And James Stokoe on art.
Which is very exciting, quite frankly. So this is the 5th weekend, or 5th week I should say, as you'd expect, with an Annual. It spins out of Joker War. It's a Clown Hunter focus story, so should be interesting. I always like when an Annual's by the ongoing writer and it's not just some random.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Stokoe is doing a Clown Hunter story in the Batman Warzone one shot that's coming up.
Yeah,
he's doing that. So it's the same artist, linked.
It talks
there.
about.
Yeah, that's what it spins out of. Yeah, specifically.
And that cover is very Norman Rockwell-esque, with Batman staring down at Clown Hunter disapprovingly.
Yeah.
So
the variant covers kind of stylized, but I kind of like it too.
The one where he's staring down at him is the variant.
Okay, the regular one. I don't know. Whatever one's what.
Yeah.
You know what? This website needs to put that first. Then the natural cover.
It does. I only know that because of the signature there. That I can see.
Yeah.
The one with Batman up on the gargoyle in the background is that's the regular cover.
Yeah. So cool. Is that do you know? It was so metallic looking. I thought it was some sort of like, I don't know. It looked like a Power Ranger Zord that's like halfway through transforming or something like that.
There's a gargoyle.
Yeah.
I can see it.
It's really metal.
Shit.
Yeah. I'm thinking when the Megazord was in that sitting pose before it would stand up.
Tynan. Do it.
Well, he has new vehicles every issue. Why not a Batzord? We have Deceased Dead Planet issue 6 of 7 that is coming out. I mean, as we expect. And I will say I do love the variant for this, where they're actually doing the Shazam movie as the poster they're riffing on, but it's Mary Marvel instead of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that made me laugh.
I like that a lot.
Really like the other variant. The fake one is a gorgeous cover.
I mean, it's Matina. Yeah. The guy knows his stuff. We got Wonder Woman 768 and 769 from Tamaki's run. So as we'd expect.
3 different artists over the 2 issues, which is frustrating.
Very much.
I'm more sick of Carr complaining about the artist changes than I am about the artist changes at this point.
No, I'm with him.
Strange Adventures issue 7 is actually for the... Sorry, no, 7 is for December, but it's issue 8 is also here, which is for the first week in January. I don't know why they're soliciting that in advance, necessarily. The other ones kind of make sense, because I assume whatever they're going to announce, when they announce their slate, which we're hoping maybe today, but whenever they announce their slate for this new phase, we expect that these things have already announced for week 1 or sort of the leads into them, and that's why they've solicited them early. But Strange Adventures issue 8 is a separate thing that's, Black Label and whatever. Who cares? But whatever, what's there? American Vampire 1976 issue 3, that keeps going. Rorschach issue 3, the other Tom King 12 issue book that's about to kick off. That's out in December. Sweet Tooth The Return issue 2, that's continuing. More of these young adult trades. We got Catwoman Soul Stealer coming out, and then we got Nubia Real One, which is this a new original character?
Seems
so.
like it. She's Amazon-like strength by pushing over a tree to her cat.
Cool. Flash Facts is the next one.
10 terrific tales about science and technology, written by Mayim Bialik. What?
Curated by her, not written. So she's just collecting the facts, I guess.
There you go.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, and I guess we're finally on to kind of the regular books. Well, I would say that those double shipping ones.
Oh, god damn it.
I know, look at the cover for this. Look at the cover. So unfortunately, Bendis' run on the Superman books is ending with a bit of a whimper.
Sorry, why did you say unfortunately?
Well, because John Romita Jr. never left. He's actually going to be on the final issue of his Action Comics run, which is really upsetting. So, in fact, it even says here, the powerhouse creative team of Bryan, Michael Bendis, John Romita Jr. and Klaus Janson wrap up their run in Action Comics. Why is he involved in the run? No, he came on like halfway through it and he's sucked terribly. It's awful. But yeah, so...
This is now the Bendis and Romita Jr. run.
Oh.
Officially.
Oh, what a vomit in my mouth.
I actually quite like the variant because it's Grandpa, who it can be hit or miss for me. I really like what he does with the flowing cape in that.
Well, I mean, anything looks good next to that Romita Jr. cover. It could be a Gilliam March cover, and you'd think maybe I'll get this signed and printed and put it on the wall in a frame.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So it's the last Action Comics issue, which is issue 1028, and Superman 28 is his last Superman issue, which Ivan Reis is back, which is back this week as well, admittedly. I think he's back for the final arc, which makes sense because he started the whole thing. So, yeah, I've enjoyed most of Superman by Bendis. I think it's maybe not been as monumental as it maybe first seemed like it was going to be, and Action Comics definitely took a big hit in the art once Romita Jr. stepped on board. I will say, I do think Bendis' villains are mostly going to be pretty forgettable, but I have liked all the stuff with Superman revealing his identity, so I think there's been a lot of value in the run. So
I'm really looking forward to whatever we get next, personally. It'll be nice to read Superman. I'm hoping we get 2 different writers, 2 different teams on the books. Yeah.
Watch Steve Orlando be in one and Riley Rosmo be in the other.
No, they have to go together.
Yeah, they work together quite a bit. So they'll be on the same book.
They do, and even though I wouldn't want to read them either, there's just something funny to me about Connor not wanting to read either book again.
Well, no, if that's how it works, that's how it is. And if it's dumb because it's on 2 separate books, I won't complain in the same way. I'll be like, they had 2 chances. Sucks for me, but
I'm an agent of chaos. That's all I could say.
Just don't put that into the world.
Batman Beyond issue 50 is the series' final issue. That's made it much further than any of us thought it would. So
50 damn issues. I'm impressed.
Yeah, it's actually kind of weird. It's not oversized. You would think they'd do like a final oversized issue because it's issue 50, but just one regular issue to say goodbye. Dan Jurgens wraps up his 50 issue run on the book, which is impressive. I mean, this will have a meaty omnibus someday. Who'd have thought it?
I wish I cared enough about Batman Beyond, because I think people who do seem to enjoy this run, and I can only assume there's enough of them for it to have gone to 50 damn issues.
Yeah, but I read the first arc or whatever, and it was perfectly readable. It was it was a fine, entertaining read.
Good. I want to go back now that there's an end point, so I think it could be fun.
Then we have Batman Superman issue 15. Got some Solemn Grundy looking action here, but the looks of it. Batman The Adventures Continue issue 7 is coming out, and also The Batman Adventures DC Classics, which is its final issue, but I assume that was known, or...
I mean, it's just a reprint anyway,
yeah,
so...
Yeah, so we got Catwoman issue 28 coming out. I'm sure Connor wants to talk about the preview pages of the first Ram V issue.
Ram V shared them on Twitter, for at least a couple of pages from 25. I don't know if he's doing the full thing in 25, or it's like a split issue with other stories. Yeah. But look gorgeous, and definitely has me going, yeah, okay, I want to try this Catwoman book now.
Yeah, I hate to say that the Joelle Jones cover is the weaker of the two, but the Frisian one here is quite nice.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't blame yourself.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to...
Frisians is great.
Hard to deny it. We got Detective Comics 1032 and 1033. Still Tamaki on those books, so going forward. The Dreaming Waking Hours issue 5 is coming out. Far Sector issue 9 is coming out. The every other month schedule on that now really slowed it down, because I'm like, it's only issue 9 in December?
Yeah, the 9, the 2 months an issue, and then the break that it had as well, and I think it was already delayed once before the break.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, it's taking so long.
Yeah, we got Green Lantern season 2 issue 10 coming out.
Yeah, we had Sharp this week saying how he believes this is Morrison's last DC book ever.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yeah, Hellblazer Rise and Fall issue 3 coming out in December. Harley Quinn The Birds of Prey issue 4. This is the Connor and Palmiotti miniseries. This is the final issue as well. It's 4 of 4. Last God issue 11 is coming out. Legion of Superheroes issue 12 is coming out. Not final, worth mentioning.
I found myself checking for that final issue tag on this
Me
one.
too.
Not because I want it to be the final. I don't care. But I don't know. It's got that feeling to it now where any issue could be the final issue, especially with a round number like 12 for the trades.
We do expect Bendis on another big book after he's done with Superman, right? Look, when they announce the next new wave of books, I expect him to be on at least one big book. Yeah.
We never did get his... what was the Leviathan follow-up that was supposed to happen?
Checkmate.
Oh, yeah. I think we'll probably get that. I think
that's coming.
Plus an ongoing. I feel like he'll be on one ongoing.
Been reworked into whatever's coming next, which is probably why it got pulled.
Yeah.
But I think there is at least that, plus probably at least one new ongoing, maybe 2.
Yeah. Nightwing issue 77. Dick is back, but I mean, just kind of waiting for the new run to start now.
It's kind of a little depressing, because that's a gorgeous, proper Nightwing cover at last. I just scroll by and see it. I'm like, oh, it's back, and I'm not even reading it, but it's just nice to know.
I think I like the one where I think it's the regular cover. He's landed on the car and all the glasses shut, like smashing all over the place. I like that one.
Very nice.
I like that one.
I like them both.
Red Hood issue 52. Not Outlaw anymore, it's just Red Hood. I guess when Lobdell left, they shook up the title a little bit as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it is just Red Hood. There are no Outlaws by the sounds of that solicit text.
Yeah, so Connor's favourite book just will not die, so...
Yeah, but maybe it'll be good. Who knows?
If it's good, David will pull his choice and pick something else, is what I'm expecting. Yeah. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You 107, and then we're out of the trades. Notably, Batgirl Returns Omnibus is the Gail Simone New 52 run.
It's an interesting title for that.
An omnibus form, yeah. That's right. I mean, I liked it a lot more than the Burnside stuff, so...
It's a perfectly solid run.
Yeah. It wasn't always great. I did think it peaked with the brother stuff. I think it was on the original trades. It was like Volume 4.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That stuff was really good. But there you go.
Yeah.
So
Matt, do you want the Earth 1 box set?
I have the Earth 1 box set.
Just without the slip cover.
I own them already. 2 of those books are fine. The other one,
it's so bad that you don't want to own it.
Yeah, but I was given them, and it's rude to say no.
Oh dear. So that is the DC Comics Solicits for December. It was definitely a meaty batch, which is funny because we expect obviously there to be another meaty batch of stuff to talk about when they announce what's coming next. Which I do. I mean, if it doesn't come today or through fandom, it's definitely happening before the next batch of Solicits. It has to.
It does have to, yeah. And honestly, it's quite interesting that these are such meaty solicits. Usually that last month before everything changes, it's kind of like, yeah, okay, this is going, that's happening, it's fine. You know, it's the last issue of the event that we know is the one changing it, something like that. But this actually has stuff going on. It's different.
Yeah, it's very, very odd. But hey, there you go. That is the Solicits. Dark Knights Death Metal Trinity Crisis Issue 1. I really don't think they needed Dark Knights at the start of these. Just Death Metal Trinity Crisis would have been fine.
Yeah,
probably.
But, you know, there's a brand.
I know. Scott Snyder writing with Francis Manapul on the art. And this is honestly kind of an essential chapter in the story.
Yeah, they could say that it's not, but they're lying.
Yeah, I said this back when we had the last issue of Metal, and I was very concerned because this and Speed Metal felt essential, and they're overpriced books, and I'm not a fan of that. If they're essential, they should be just part of the main story. And I think, honestly, the only reason they're not is because they're not Capullo drawing.
Yeah, and on top of that, it feels like the Hawkman Lost and Found, which weren't essential, but kind of were. I don't remember if those were overpriced.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, obviously I expect Metal Issue 4, which it says at the end of this, to be continued in Metal Issue 4. I expect it'll quickly recap just what they found at the end of this issue, and that'll be it. But the story of them actually sneaking into Castle Bat and sort of reaffirming what the plan is, the steps that are taken to get there, obviously the ending, and I actually do appreciate it taking the time for them to. It makes it feel like more of a challenge, them actually having to sneak through and like achieve all these little steps along the way, and this idea that they're going after like these worlds where the crisis, the 3 big crises, the final, the infinite, and obviously the original one, are ongoing, and they're going to win them all. One per hero, which is, and they've got Alfred boxes, which
because they're obviously just, you know, we've had father boxes in the past. And it seems to be they are just those.
Well, Father Box came from Dr. Impossible, who they set up in the Meltzer as he was supposed to be from Earth 3, where everything was flipped. So, you know, the Father Box. But even then, I mean, remind me where else it's popped up. That's the only place I remember.
I've never seen him in some side stuff before with the New Gods in the past.
It's definitely,
but it would make sense that Omega Batman...
Mike. I mean, Mother Box is obviously way more common, but Father Box does pop up as a term every once in a while.
Well, as I was saying before my mic went rogue, it makes sense that the Omega Batman, the dark side, Bat side, I guess we call him, would have an Alfred Box.
The Trinity, along with Harley, Jonah Hex, Swamp Thing, and Jarrow, who's got a jar to help amplify his...
Of course, it's an effing jar.
It's not a jar. It's glass made from the Fire Pits of Apocalypse and 8th metal bindings, so it will increase your telepathic abilities.
In the shape of a jar.
Of course, it looks like an effing jar. Yeah.
Oh, I love Jarrow.
Oh dear. So they make all this big speech. I got a little chuckle here of some of Harley's dialogue when she's trying to say, like, why are we doing this? Like, maybe I'm better staying back with the rest of the heroes and like fighting the big scary mum. Anyone else want to trade? Teen Titans? Don't look away from me, Beast Boy. That really made me laugh. But they go to Castle Bat. We see a variety of the Batmen and sneaking in. Swamp Thing gathers all of the green energy that's basically left in the world, which is a big risk because if he's taken out with all this green energy, the green's basically going to be dead. Yeah. And he forms a tunnel for them to go underneath the castle bat. And
I love this page. Again, this is Manapul at his best.
So I was worried about the last couple Manapul issues we've gotten. I've kind of seen rushed. You know, like it was here. You know, odd thing here or there. This is back to form. The Swamp Thing pages by themselves with the layouts, with the vines.
Even before we get to the bit where he's inside the tunnel. Yeah, well, the page with the vines, that one at the bottom where it's like, you know, them going into his mouth for the cave entrance is just gorgeous. And
it's like, it still feels like the watercoloring, but it doesn't feel painted. Manapul, like it definitely feels more in line with Capullo with the hard lines.
Do you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Jock's work on Witches. Kind of.
But yeah, so you can tell it's Manapul, but it's not the same, you know, vibe, if you will. But, you know, which works for something like this, because you kind of want to mimic Capullo's designs and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is his story, his world.
Right. So, but no, just that image with It Worked and basically the Justice League with, you know, Black Lantern, Batman, Apocalypse, Superman. She was the Warden of Hell, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like, these are all real cool. Harley with Jarro and Zombie Jonah Hex. Like, Zombie Jonah Hex is almost a Misfit song when you think about it.
Yeah, and it does a little tease here where Jarro kind of senses what's going on with the speedsters. The Wally's on the run because they've been found. Which is essentially almost a bit of cross promotion. I mean, in a weird way, it's like, hey, remember the other one shot that's coming out?
I'm shocked there wasn't an editor's note going, check out Speed Metal in 2 weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, talk about layouts again. That layout within Jarro is you can see the Justice League behind him, and then what he's sensing with the speedsters coming out and the Darkest Night chasing them. In like the negative space,
it's like he's projecting it out, isn't it?
It's really cool.
Yeah, Jonah Hex gives Harley a pep talk, and she kisses him on the cheek. She's getting kind of basically scared and nervous about everything. Gives her a pep talk. She kisses him on the cheek, and afterwards says, "Did you just slip me tongue?" And he says, "I have no cheek there. There's nothing else to kiss."
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's just like, yeah, fair enough.
So they get to their entrance. They're confronted with more
Dark Knights.
Yeah, Dark Knights. Yeah, we've got the Batman, Wonder Woman daughter. We have Black Monday, which is obviously the Solemn Grundy.
By far my favorite of these thus far, because you can tell that Snyder's having a field day naming
just
these.
Sticking bat ears on everyone he can.
Well, just that, and then the name Black Monday, and then Arc, and the Pearl, and Chiropter instead of Chemo. Like, Chiro is the Latin base for the species of bat, or for the genus of bats. You know, so like that's, I like this. This is real cool. Normally this would annoy me, but I think he's having fun.
So yeah, you know, a big fight sequence with the characters. You know, it's silly fun. Jarro ends up, you know, like flying through there at one point. The Trinity sort of sneak away, and they actually sense that there's like a dark presence near them, and they run into Barbatos, who, you know, we've not seen in great detail, I don't think, since Metal, right? Or maybe he's briefly popped up since then.
From my memory.
But basically, they use this to explain that he was kind of just being used by Perpetua. Like, he thought he was using Perpetua, but Perpetua was using him. And so it kind of is almost like a commentary from Snyder going, oh, you guys all thought this was the big bad? This was just the setup to the big bad. Which is something else I appreciated.
I don't know. I'm getting that meme moment from an episode of Person of Interest that I've not even got to yet. But there's that meme moment where someone's sitting in like a church pew, and there's someone behind them with a gun to the back of their head, and then there's someone behind them with a gun to the back of their head, and then it cuts away, and there's a sniper all the way back up. So I don't know who the sniper is yet, but you've got Barbatos at the front, you've got Perpetua, and then you've got the Batman who laughs, or the Darkest Night now. So we're just waiting for the reveal of who the sniper is to win all this.
We know who the sniper is.
It's Lex Luthor.
Yes.
I suppose. Okay, yeah, it's all right.
But I just love that because we built to Barbatos. It was like this such a big deal, and just the way they deal with him here, where Superman punches his mouth closed, which someone like the Clark that I know and love, but in Darkest Nights, I'll allow it. You know?
Yeah, the others who are left behind, that's Jonah, Jarrow, Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, who's at full strength right now because he sort of collected what he can of the green, and Harley. Robin King comes for them.
God, I hate him.
I actually quite enjoyed some of this stuff with them fighting him. You know, Harley interact with him, calling him a little brat. In fact, one of the things that I've not mentioned yet that I really liked was the kind of like bickering rivalry between Jarrow and Jonah Hex, where they're constantly like basically telling each other to go die, essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that back and forth. But the others end up in their various crisis worlds, but they're surprised. They're surprised when they get there. Some big 2-page layouts for each one of them arriving, ending with Wonder Woman arriving in the Infinite Crisis world, only to find out that these aren't the crises that they can come to win, or that they did win. This is the crises where they lost. So in the Infinite Crisis world, would you believe it, standing victorious over everything is Superboy Prime? And that's the cliffhanger we live on.
I love how this makes perfect sense. Of course, in the dark multiverse versions that they're visiting, it's the ones where they lost. Of course it is.
Yeah.
It just never crossed their minds.
Well, so I got a little confused because when we got to the Crisis on Infinite Earths with Batman, and it's where the Anti-Monitor one, but the Anti-Monitor's taking the form of the Hawkman or Hawkwoman Martian Manhunter kid from the ninth. Or that wasn't. It was the sixth dimension.
The sixth dimension, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a little weird, and I was like, okay. And then we get to the final crisis where there's Omega Superman and Tusk Darkseid, which looks dope. Like, I'm not gonna lie there. That is a metal cover. Like, he looks like the Motorhead logo, right?
I can see it.
And then we get to the Infinite Crisis where, of course, Superboy Prime is in. It got me thinking before this kind of pops up in the solicits of kind of where this is going. Of course, it's going to build to Superboy Prime versus the Darkest Knight, because everything is Superman versus Batman, right? And then you have this character in Superboy Prime, right? Who I know people are so tired of Superboy Prime, and with Shazam last week, I was kind of like, oh, I'm gonna, I kind of like what he represents right now. Whereas the problems with Superboy Prime come from he wanted the heroes to be good, right? And they disappointed him, and that's where it turned dark with him. Versus the Darkest Knight, who's just pure chaos and evil and just wants things his way. And I think that's a great take from Snyder on the differences between how Superman can be corrupted versus Batman being corrupted.
Yeah. It's prime time, baby. That's the only thing I've got to say about it. It's prime time. No, I mean, I enjoyed the issue. It did feel like a proper chapter. It didn't feel like a weird side issue, which I guess has its caveats because it's not just issue 4. It's kind of weird. And on the one hand, I appreciate that they figured out a way to not like delay everything a month and just have like a weird month off where we were doing some sort of weird filler. But it is kind of weird. But I mean, comic book readers tend to be, I don't know, pay attention to these things. So I assume that
I'm just like personally on that though. I'm kind of fed up of forgiving them for this and just kind of letting them off because we know what we're doing. That's not the point, is it though? It's.
Well, no, but what do you want to do about it then?
I want them to not have to make me buy an extra, what was this, $6 book that they tell me isn't going to be necessary, yet clearly is part of the main story that I will feel missing if I didn't read this.
Okay, fine. I would say that.
Well, I am saying that, and I'm fed up of comic companies in general doing this, and all of us going, that's comics. It shouldn't be though, should it?
I mean, there's better ways. It's a weird thing where, I feel more relieved than I do annoyed because I'm just happy it didn't feel like a waste of time.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with this, so I don't mind.
Yeah.
Like, and plus, I'm gonna collect stuff anyways. So, if that's the perspective of you just get all of the stuff that's associated with the event, you're covered. And I'm glad this doesn't feel throwaway.
Matt's solution is just buy everything that has the banner on it, and you'll be fine.
I mean, that's how I read all the Flashpoint.
Yeah, you have no regrets about that.
Way too much Flashpoint.
I also got a lot of Convergence. I have a problem, guys, so I don't do this anymore, except for Dark Knight's Metal.
Yes, Convergence.
And Endless Winter.
And whatever comes after that, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I thought it was an enjoyable issue. I liked how it just stayed focused on the goal. It made the mission of going to these worlds feel like a challenge and not just something that was easily accomplished between pages, which sometimes in these big events they'll have characters just do things that seem like they should be really big deals. And
because it's in the scheme of the larger event, it's like not that big a deal.
But yeah, I don't think any of these one shots for Death Metal have really let me down yet. I suspect that eventually, I mean, there's a lot of them coming, so I suspect one will at some point. But
I was a little bit disappointed in the first one. I think it was that underwhelmed me a bit. It wasn't bad, but just it felt like, oh, it's one of these one shots.
Yeah, well.
Whereas this doesn't feel like that. I can give it that for sure.
But here we go. So, Matt, what are you giving Trinity Crisis?
I'm going to give this an 8.5. I had a lot of fun with this, and it was maybe because I went in with lower expectations thinking it was a throwaway. But no, I did not feel throwaway, and I appreciate it for that.
Okay, Connor?
I give it the straight 8, I think. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'll go with the straight 8. I think I liked it a little bit more than Connor, but I also don't put Manapul on the pedestal that you two do. So, 8 out of 10 for me.
Because you're wrong.
I like his art, I just don't love it like you two do. Yeah, it's good.
That's what I just said, isn't it?
And some people are wrong.
Yeah. Alright, and while I'm on controversial subjects, Kyle's crab mask is the best, and we can...
Kyle's the best when he's Ion and has a regular mask and spiky hair. Get the hair drapes and crab mask out of my eyes.
Oh, no, hair drapes.
Please.
That was a more controversial opinion than your cancer thing earlier.
What that wasn't an opinion on cancer, you tit.
So you say.
And besides, what? Okay, it'd be an incredibly cynical thing to say that you don't expect cancer to be cured. That's not really an opinion on it, though. On the subject of cancer itself.
I'm staying out of this.
Yeah, you've not made the smart choice here.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. And while we're on the subject, one of the covers from earlier did have Nightwing with his longer hair, and that is the best Nightwing look that he can possibly have.
I was really worried as to what subject you were going to come out with then. He said, while we're on the subject, I was like, oh God, what now? What else is he going to say?
Of hair. He brought up Kyle's hair, so now I was thinking of Nightwing hair.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, lots of comic characters that look better with longer hair. Superman even looked better with longer hair. It's actually kind of amazing. Wonder Woman 762, Mariko Tamaki writing with Carlo Barberi on the art. And this is, of course, continuing the Max Lord and also his daughter, Liar, continuing that plot.
If she can be believed, because she is a liar.
That is true.
He doesn't seem to dispute it, though.
No, but, I wanted to go for the easy,
Yeah. That said, though, it is at the last page of the book, so it's entirely possible at page 1 of the next issue will be him going, what?
Who the hell are you? Yeah.
How dare you? So we get kind of the uneasy alliance between Wonder Woman and Maxwell Lord, because there's chaos happening, there's people causing fires and shootings and all sorts around the city because they're having these hallucinations.
It's a little close to home for me right now. What's going on in this country? So I was like, Tamaki. I know Tamaki wrote this a while ago, but man,
I do. I thought the pages with the fire. Not necessarily all of the art in the pages, but I thought the coloring in the fire itself all looked very good.
Well, I mean, if you've seen those pictures all over the internet, that orange is very distinct. So
it's a horrific but visually pleasing color palette.
Yeah, it is. And I'll say this while we're talking about the art. I don't feel Barberi had it on this issue. I feel it's a little bit too cartoony.
Sure.
Like Diana, especially Diana, and some of these, it's manga-esque, which it isn't.
Not a fan of it last issue.
Yeah, although here I feel like he's definitely leaned into it more than the last issue. And if you like that style, great. It's just it's not for me. I
liked it on the first couple of pages with the Amazons.
It works there.
You know, in the armor, I thought that looked pretty good. But by the time you get to like, there's the double page splash of Wonder Woman blocking all the bullets. I did not like that at all.
Yeah.
But she agrees to work with Max Lord. She's not happy about it. And actually brings him out, and he ends up helping a bunch of situations. We see him sort of use his powers. Liar's kind of following. She's like mind controlling, you know, some random soldier, asking him to do things, but with little flares of like humor, where she's like asking, also turn up the air conditioning and things like that. Just a little bit in the juvenile side. But yeah, you got a big 2-page spread of her dodging bullets with the guy who thinks he's thinks he's shooting. He thinks he's in his house defending his home or something like that. But he's actually at a fast food restaurant. So Max Lord's about to like give him brain damage because another guy in the room tries to shoot him. Wonder Woman saves him, and Wonder Woman's like, "No, you're not going to like do anything nasty to him." Because at first he makes me bark like a dog, which I mean it was kind of darkly funny because it cuts outside.
No, it is.
You hear the barking,
and it shows that Maxwell Lord still has that dark edge to him. That like, sure, he's helping Wonder Woman, but he's still not a good guy. You know. And yeah, but I did like that scene with the art where the trigger gets pulled and then the bullets going through the air, and then she blocks it from Max with her bracer. I thought it was. I mean, that's an iconic Wonder Woman thing. So, but I just like the way that the close-ups play in there.
Which even that, I think you have this kind of moments like that where she's using her typical Wonder Woman antics to protect him sticks out as being kind of notable. Just like, hey, that's her arch nemesis.
Yeah, and I do love Diana always tries to befriend her enemies. I do love that about her. Like at this point, some people can see that it's tiring, and I would understand them, but you know, like her with Kale and Cheetah and Silver Swan, and it goes on and on and on. That's just who Diana is. So the fact that she does, it's not just for the mission, right? She is trying to preserve Max Lord.
Honestly, my least favorite bit of art of the book is probably the page where the guy's like crouching, barking like a dog. At the bottom of that page, for some reason, Wonder Woman's hair is just perpetually just kind of up in the air, and it's just,
it looks like she's underwater.
I know. It was kind of
like got a wind machine on it.
It was kind of weird.
There's a few bits like that, and the very final page, when Liar stood there and she's got, you know, the military police kind of all mind controlled, and they're supposed to be pointing the guns presumably at Wonder Woman and Maxwell Lord, but it looks like they're just, at least one of them definitely just looks like straight up pointing at Liar.
Just one of them, yeah. Two of them are sort of pacing the same direction, but there's one in the front that looks a bit more angled.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's a perspective thing. You know?
I mean, so if I was going to, because actually, who's on the other side, it looks like two of them are pointing to someone on the left, and the other two are pointing to someone on the right. So I think two of them are pointing at Wonder Woman, two are pointing at Maxwell Lord. We just don't have a frame of reference for the geography.
Maybe.
I think that's what's happening.
The guy at the back, I don't know, like he feels like he's holding his gun like much higher than everyone else as well. Like it's not that he's taller; it's like they wanted to make sure the gun was not overlapping with the shoulder.
He's got his shoulder. He's got his elbow
like up here.
That's how you hold it. Yeah, that's how you hold the gun.
And it's not like up near his, like in front of his eye either. It's like off to the side, like up by his head. I'm like, what is going on there? That's a weird pose.
This is fair. I did kind of like the couple pages though when Max is says he's saying what he saw, and it sort of gives you like a sort of history of Maxwell Lord and the DCU.
I like that.
I like
the layouts of these as well.
I thought it was cool. But yeah, so it's the idea that she's been following them around all day, and the cliffhanger is her sort of revealing herself and saying the name's Liar. So. Yeah, well, we'll see where this goes. That was, it was another easy read. It went in super quick. I think that her voice for Diana, Tamaki's voice for Diana, is really fun. It feels true to the character. I liked all the banter with her and Max Lord. And I kind of, as much as, we might have been a little disappointed of, the neighbor turning out to be this villain, I do kind of like her almost childish mixed in with the typical Max Lord stuff, or the mind control. Yep. I'm kind of into that, so...
Yeah, that's always one of those wait and see. Like you read it in the solicits, and you're like, "Oh man," but the way that it's being pulled off, think it's pretty good.
Yeah, Carlo probably hates it, but that's fine.
I don't hate it. I'm not really feeling Liar Liar right now. You know, and I wasn't really feeling the art in this issue, much like the last one. But I do like the overall voice, and I like everything between Diana and Lord in particular. I think their dialogue is particularly strong. So I definitely don't hate this issue.
You be kind to Liar Liar. She's clearly grew up watching Jim Carrey movies, and she picked her name based on a courtroom comedy, one might call it.
One of my favorite things in that is when you watch it on TV, and they edit it where he's kicking his own ass. He goes, "I'm kicking my own ass," but it gets beat to butt, and it just doesn't flow. And it just always cracked me up as a kid. Sound drops. It's great. Now I think they would just leave it, even on network TV, right? Yeah, ass isn't that bad.
Well, the edited stuff, there was never a thing in the UK because they just put it on after 9 o'clock and you could put it out uncut. So that was never an issue.
The smart way.
Yeah.
You do get the odd film that was on in the day with the cuts that were weird.
They never did the dubbing though. They never did the whole, yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. We never got that.
No, they tended to just cut the moment entirely.
Yeah, but it tended to be borderline things that could appeal to a family though. They just happened to be a bit edgier. Like they never put Die Hard on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
No, it would be. I mean, a Jim Carrey movie is probably a good example.
Yeah,
where they would just cut the line and just not show it as long as it flowed. It would, and honestly, it's something where if you didn't know any better, you would probably feel like, oh, that was a bit of a sudden cut, but it wouldn't feel wrong.
Yeah.
In most of these examples.
But yeah, anyway, so that is the issue of Wonder Woman, which I enjoyed, despite the art being up and down, we'll say.
Very much so.
I did enjoy the story, and I think it's flowing very well, and I find all of Tamaki's issues very easy to read. Like, they're just flowing super quick for me.
Yeah.
What are you giving it, Matt?
It was a 7.
Connor?
6.5.
I will go with the 7.5. It would be higher with better art. So there you go. Superman issue 25, Bryan Michael Bendis writing with Ivan Reis on the art. And much like a patron made Connor read Action Comics last month, the same patron has forced Connor into reading Superman issue 25, which I don't think is as punishing because it's not Romita Jr. That was the real comedy factor for me last time.
I don't know. I think this take out the art, just in terms of the writing, this might be worse.
I don't want to say it's worse. However, this issue kept going on.
Spicy.
And on.
Yeah, it's a long issue.
On.
Do you want to hear about Light Gods?
Yeah, and I appreciate where Bendis is going and what Sedmar seems to be. It just, man.
Here's the thing. Every time it cut to Clark and Lana, I loved those pages. I thought they're back and forth. Kind of tidying up continuity a little bit with what their history is right now. I enjoyed those pages immensely, including the flashback stuff. The alien stuff was definitely, I mean, the Clark and Lana stuff had a lot of bubbles too, don't get me wrong, but all of that was really enjoyable to read. The alien discussion, like all their bubbles, was like to the point where I'm like, okay, we're setting up another alien villain for Superman to fight in some capacity. I was like, you could easily have condensed all of this alien stuff down to like far less pages and had this be a regular size issue without it missing a beat.
Yeah, easily.
Just questions on the alien stuff. Is this their first appearance?
This all new. Is new. Yeah,
right. This is all new because we came from the last one where Superman was upset. He's having some not personality. He needed like therapy, and so we got Doctor Strange and the magic stuff, and that was playing in with some of the stuff that he had done with Leviathan. This is all new, and I get what he's doing, but I feel a lot of these are the same beats that we've already hit with, like Naomi, and I stuff in Legion.
I'd heard someone refer to this new character that by the end, this champion of Sinmar, as kind of feeling like Rogol's R 2.0, and it's very different context, but ultimately, kind of generic alien design. Is going to fight Superman.
These pages were rough. This is pretty much what the issue opens on. the first page itself is fine, right? Whatever.
Uh-huh.
The second page is double page splash. Two questions. I mean, okay, one question on this page in particular. Why does it give us the names of every single one of these people when they all sound the exact same?
And they all look the same. There's not a lot of flourishes to make them look different.
There's not any visual distinction. I could maybe tell the one main, what I assume was a woman, the president who who has the extra flair. Everyone else, all the same.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Like, we've already seen this with Krypton, right? Through the eyes of the council. I forget what they were called, but they were the ones that led Supergirl going across with Rolls-R's axe, and me and Pete really enjoyed that story. And now we have this other council that's keeping an eye on a Kryptonian refugee to Earth, so Bendis can give us his diatribe on what Superman means, which we already kind of have a take on, judging from him revealing himself and just how he's written him for the last 25 issues, and then the other however many in action. And then this is just reinforcing that, which then in turn, got comics Twitter kicked up with, because anytime you try to ascribe a philosophy to Superman, you're going to upset, one or the other. And I get where Bendis is coming from here, and in context it works, but I don't know if any of this was necessary, especially in issue 25.
Yeah, I mean, the core idea of in this alien world that sees Krypton explode, is kind of worried about their own planet, but notices that there's a life raft, and this ship makes its way to Earth, and they say, "Wait a minute, this baby's going to end up having like light god powers. So what's going on?" And
can we talk about the light god?
Well, one second. The core idea of them always being hesitant and edgy that this being might be too powerful, and almost being shocked when it seems that from a distance, like, wait, he's actually not done anything bad to them yet. In fact, if anything, he's a hero of the people, and everyone seems to love him. He's not betrayed them yet. Like, there's potential in there. I mean, to be honest, my biggest criticism of this issue might not actually be just how tedious some of the alien pages are. It's actually that I think the ending's a little unclear as to what exactly happens, because I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. No. And that's the thing. You say tedious and stuff, and I get it, but, like, I don't know. How many more stories do we need of an alien race being, shocked that Superman's not conquered them?
Well, according to Bendis, at least one more.
Well, and that's my whole thing. There's other aliens. Like, I don't understand why you need to add a new branch, or ones that haven't even shown up in Legion. Like, if these were he could have even done the Daxamites. He could have done the what?
I'm going to make a statement here.
Yeah.
Bendis is the anti-Morrison. In the sense that Morrison loves taking random obscure stuff, but pre-established shit and going, I'm going to make this work. Bendis just loves going, right, I'm going to do my own thing. New stuff.
But then again, if you've read Naomi, him throwing the Ranthanagar War in there, that's, and adding that.
I don't mean that he ignores stuff.
I know, but there's precedent, and again, I don't get why we need to introduce the Sinmar to this.
Some of Bendis' new creations are great, and I love that he does try to add new stuff.
Oh,
it does.
Teen Lantern, right? That's.
Well, I was just thinking Naomi, but yeah, Teen Lantern as well, sure.
Yeah, but that's I just brought up Naomi, but yeah. But no, there's the stuff that he's doing. If you're looking at this through Young Justice and Legion, there's so much other aliens or worlds to pull from, but he gives us a total new one, and then has them rehash everything us readers kind of know. And I get, there's the theory that every comic, someone's new comic, but if I was a new reader to Superman and I kept seeing all those bubbles with these completely indistinct aliens, I don't know if I'd want to keep reading Superman.
Yeah. You're saying that as someone who's a Bendis fan.
And a Superman fan, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, so it's very, like Pete said, tedious, but there's ways to do it, and I just wonder why he picked this one.
I don't get it.
The core beats of the story, which is they're concerned that Superman could start taking over people, and might even build an entire planet full of people like him. Like Earth will become New Krypton, and all the beings on it will end up with these powers, and they could start taking over the galaxy. You can get that fear. They're surprised that it's not happening. And then the ultimate thing, which is they've created their own Superman, essentially. And then whatever happens at the end, it makes them seem to think Superman's came and killed everyone. You can get all that across in, like, far less pages and certainly far less speech bubbles, and make it a bit more succinct. And it wouldn't necessarily be, like, amazing, because it, you know, it's not like a super amazing, like, original idea, but it wouldn't be... My problem with this is just how much of a chore it was to read. It's not so much that the concept itself is upsetting me in any way.
No. And that's it too, is that it did feel like a chore. So on top of it, you're just like, I'm not gaining anything from this, and it took forever. And I mean, the art's nice to look at. I kind of like the alien designs. I just wish they were more distinct.
I like the alien design, singular.
Design, because I do like seeing Lana pop back up, because it's been forever. I just, after he just offed one redhead in Metropolis, I'm a little worried for
Matt,
Lana.
I was actually just going to say, it feels like she's been given so much time, and how important she is to Clark's backstory, because he's going to kill her. The villain is going to kill her off, because this tragic ending he has at the end of this issue, where all of these other aliens are dead, I think we're going to have him retaliate. I mean, not necessarily with the intention right now of targeting that one person specifically, but ultimately we're going to end up with a Lana is dead story during this.
Yeah, because she's always there at big moments in Clark's life. Even if she's not right next to Clark, we get her perspective of it. You know, her at the news station when Superman makes his appearance fighting Luthor, right? Which had shades of Birthright, which I enjoy. It's my favorite Superman story, really. So that was cool. But yeah, I'm just wondering why Lana all of a sudden, you know, I hope she's not going to, in essence, get fridged here, where it's just her death to drive the story.
It would be a really cynical thing to do right at the end of your run when... Yeah. I don't know.
Or this is why they're different, right? Maybe this alien learns from Superman and that, or whatever. But I also do like the distinction that this guy, I forget his name, I don't have my book open in front of me, but he was a soldier that went to war and proved himself through combat to be this champion, which is completely opposite of Superman, who, you know, he's not really Earth's champion. It's just something he's elected to keep everybody safe, right? Like, it's not an actual position. So I do like, that's a new wrinkle that Bendis really hasn't touched on. Yeah. I mean, he did the kind of the president of Earth, you know, to the United Planets and stuff, but not really like this. So there is good in here. It's just, it's too much.
I mean, all the Lana and Clark stuff I really like. I like him teasing his Leviathan stuff by when Clark checks up on Lois. You see that she's with the other detectives.
That was cool.
You know, that was a nice little touch. Talking, like, it's just sort of reestablishing some of the content, because it feels like Secret Origin's back kind of more or less in continuity for his origin, based on a couple of the details and just things in the art. But then, of course, also mentions the fact that, you know, like, Ma Kent is being basically forgives Clark for anything that's ever upset her because she's got a grandson now. So just those little details.
I did like that wrinkle.
You know, weaving in, like, kind of what continuity, and just almost it's just a style, because the Kents have been back barely a while, and we're still learning exactly what the deal is,
what they know, and you know how long they've been experiencing this. You know, like how'd they feel when John went off with Space Grandpa? You know, like I'd love to know how Mom and Pa Kent felt about that, which is cool because that adds more questions. But yeah, I got to this, and also Sidmar being purple, red, and yellow. Also I forget the name of the god of chaos in the last one, also having those same
sure, yeah,
kind of thing. It's like, I don't know. So I guess I'm kind of happy he's drawing it to the end, because maybe he just needs a refresh. Maybe 50 issues is kind of his limit. Although we've seen him longer.
It's actually 60 really, because you throw in a couple of those one shots. Plus Man of Steel. If anything, it's maybe even closer to 70 once you add all that in as well.
Yeah. So maybe that's just was his limit on Superman, and you know, he just, you know, because I don't want to just throw it all out, because there's been a lot of good with him doing. Because again, you go into comics Twitter and you see everybody freaking out and how much of a disaster Bendis has been on Superman. I'm like, I don't know. I think we're reading different things here, guys.
Yeah, which they've been saying since day one. It's worth mentioning. It's not like that's a new thing.
Well, like, I was upset he aged up John, but that's not enough for me to discredit his entire run, because that story that came out of that and John's trauma, which leads to him going to the Legion, that story's good, you know? So, yeah, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah, I did like it addressing kind of Lana being Superwoman and kind of talking about that a little bit. I liked her little line where she said, in my experience, hanging around with you too long ends up getting you superpowers. That was a nice little meta dig, almost. That was fun. So
yeah, protect. I'm gonna start a Protect Lana campaign.
It's too late, man. It's too late already.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe I can talk some sense into Chrome Dome. You know.
So yeah, the cliffhanger is that the main alien, from Sinmar,
which we don't even know his name.
Well, that's the thing.
That's a problem.
When the first, because the cover or whatever says introducing Sinmar, I assumed Sinmar was going to be the name of the main alien that we're going to be introduced to, and then within a couple of pages, oh, that's the planet. The planet's called Sinmar.
Is it Eisno Alcor? Is that him?
Alcor, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, sure, we're all going to remember that really.
Well, I mean, you'll be quiet for a little bit, Carl. You're supposed to talk about this, so. Give us some thoughts. Give us some.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with all of that was that I couldn't jump in because everything you were just saying was in relation to the run, which I have no context for. I don't know how this sits in the run. I don't know. For all I know, this has been what the entire run has been. I mean, the way you guys were just telling then, I take it it's not. But yeah, I don't know. This issue was really, really rough for me, and it wasn't just the aliens. The alien stuff was the worst by far, don't get me wrong. But a lot of the Lana stuff was really overwordy as well. For example, there's the first one of the first pages of her at work. I think it's when Superman first appears. It's the page before when she gets there and she's talking with her editor, whoever, manager, whatever he is. Just so much gibberish that meant nothing, and I'm like, this needs to be like a third of the amount of this conversation at most. There's just no need for any of it. None of it serves anything. It's just there.
Well, no, but that's typical Bendis banter, which I figured you were gonna hate because.
Yeah, I do like Bendis banter when it's between characters that.
This is it. It doesn't. To me, this doesn't feel like banter. This feels like. It feels like he's got a word count, like that he's got to hit, like he's getting paid by the word.
I disagree there because it's her establishing as the science consultant for the TV station and how she knows Clark Kent over at the planet.
Yeah, just on this scene actually, Matt, did you get the idea that this was the moment she realized that Superman and Clark Kent were the same person when she took the photo and saw his face like up close?
Yeah, which I don't like because I do like the idea that Lana knows before he leaves.
Yeah, I like him telling her.
Like
yeah,
maybe she knew he had powers but didn't know he's Superman, right? Because to me, he doesn't become Superman until he goes to Metropolis.
Sure,
that's true, and it establishes in this issue that he was Superboy for a while, right? And she, I don't know if she knew him as Superboy, but it was definitely she was obsessed with Superboy.
She definitely knows in hindsight that he was Superboy, obviously, given the scenes where she mentions it.
But I always like, and it's a bit of the Smallville take of it, is that while there. That's her, whatever happened, dating, not dating, that is his best friend, even more so than Pete. And so before he leaves or whatever, they know, she knows that he's an alien. And it's trusted with her.
I do think it's funny, though, that both me and Matt came out of this thinking that Bendis is going to kill Lana by the end of this arc.
I don't like, well, had he not just killed Moore, the fire chief, then but I don't know, maybe he has a thing against Reds. I don't know. Connor, be careful because you've already said enough to make him mad.
I know. Honestly, I think this is personal. I think this is because he's been watching this and he knows my opinion at this point. And it's like, right, well, screw gingers then. That's the only logical explanation.
The dust.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Anyway,
it's the only logical explanation. I don't know. It was a chore to read for me, this issue.
Yeah. But I do like a lot of the art here when it's not being obscured by speech bubbles. It's the page where they're talking about all of Superman's deeds right after she takes the picture, and you see him just in classic Superman stuff, like stopping the train from Action Comics.
The funny thing is that I hate the Smallville TV show, but if you give me a comic book set during that time period, you know, when I you know, that's flashback here when they're at the football game, and it's like, you know, young Clark being drawn by Evan Reese. I'm like,
very Gary Frank-esque.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Like Pete said, it's a secret origin.
Yeah.
But you go to that page and there's these moments from Superman mythology, like the cover to Action Comics 1 there, you know, down at the bottom, him breaking through the chains, and it's just, I like all of that. So in a 25th issue, it's cool they're doing a send up, but I just wish it wasn't so bogged down with this alien, you know, stuff.
Oh well, unfortunately, it wasn't a glowing praising review of Superman. But Matt, what are you giving the issue?
I'm going to give this, despite all of that other stuff, I'm going to give it a 7. I know it may be lower, but Ivan Reis's art does take it up a notch or two.
Connor's reaction to that is gold.
You know, my system makes no sense.
I know, but even still, like that caught me off guard. I was like, this is going to be a 6 at most with the way he's been talking about it.
All right, Connor, what's your score?
It's a 3, which is better than the last issue, the Action Comics one, mainly because the art is pretty nice. I have very little good to say about the writing.
I mean, compared to Romita Jr. again, I mean,
if a whiskey gets sent from Oregon, do not drink it. I really liked the Lana scenes. The alien scenes I thought were a chore. Art was good. I'm going to chuck up to a 6. So I thought Matt was too high with that, but I also, again, my system makes no sense, and it's in full disrespect to ratings.
And so. I am concerned though. I'm concerned for Lana's well-being.
Yep.
All right. So, oops. The thing there. All right. The Flash 761. Joshua Williamson rating with Howard Porter on the art. This is, of course, more of the finish line, building up to her ending, and features even more Flash family members showing up in the heat of the moment to help the fight. How did you feel about this one?
I loved it.
Of course.
Flash fact. This was everything I wanted it to be, down to Max Mercury stopping to meditate on the answer. You know, like, it's Williamson having fun with Flash, which I haven't felt until this stuff started again. You know, I mean, we got past Paradox.
I will say I like the issue. I feel a little bit of a diminishing return of more characters have come back, because I don't know. Like, when I got to the 2-page spread in this, where after Max Mercury basically calls out to other speedsters, you know, through the Speed Force to show up. When I got to that 2-page spread, I kind of sighed a little bit and like, okay, we just did the whole family reappearing together again last issue. Now we're scraping for more characters. But then I have to admit, when I realized that Wally's kids were in the middle, I was like, wait a minute. That's kind of okay.
It's Irie and Jai.
Yeah, you got me a little bit. You got me a little bit with that, right?
Okay, so it is Jai, right? Jai. It's not Jay.
I mean, I always thought it was named after Jay, though.
That's what I thought too. It's just spelled differently.
Just like Iris named after Iris, obviously.
Iris, right? But you got Fuerza there. You got Steadfast. You have
Mina? Mina's there.
Yeah, you have Mina. You have what looks like Dark Suit Wally from a different Earth. You have the Tangent Universe Flash, who again, tangentially related. I don't think it's Speed Force, but I'll let it go because it's cool.
Oh, same with the Renegades, right?
You have the Renegades. You have the Earth 2 version of Jay Garrick. You have the Speed Force personified. I think that was in Kingdom Come, Jay Garrick. So yeah, I thought that's a super cool scene. And it's definitely playing with time, because Williamson points out that because all the villains are from different points of time, it's gonna mess with the time when they go back. So right now, everything's basically as unstable as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, that's because Barry and Thawne basically run off together in an endless race, so they kind of leave the fight, and the rest of the Flash family have to figure out how to solve everything. And you know, I was surprised. Irie bantering with Bart about what to do and about stealing their costume and stuff. Like I really liked that. They got a little bit more to do than I was expecting.
You weren't using it anymore. Yeah, but it's still mine. Like that's Flash Kid stuff. Like,
yeah,
I love that. I will say, and remind me, because this run's been forever. Did Thawne have to do with giving the gun to the clown? Or is that new?
We definitely knew he killed August's brother.
Yes, we know that in Planet of the Black Hole stuff.
The gun to the clown
to create Hunter Zolomon Zoom. You know, because remember he checked for the gun, and nobody knew where he got the gun from. Yeah. So did he just change? Did he just retcon Thawne Zoom, Professor Zoom being key in the creation of Hunter Zolomon Zoom?
And current continuity, yes. I don't think it's necessarily retconning.
Okay.
You know,
because that would be something very Johnsy on top of it, though. Yeah. Is that you know, Thawne always having a hand in creating misery for the Flash family, you know. But
well, that's just
for it to be in this tiny little panel.
Yeah, this is kind of what Thawne gets to, is that he's behind everything. Every bit of suffering that every Flash member has ever felt is all come from him. That's kind of the idea he tries to get across. Yep. But the rest of the Flash family, once they've left, is they have to sort of vibrate everyone back to their own time period, and it'll be like they never left. And there's a risk because, and Iris points this out, is that she's worried that Bart might disappear too, because technically he's in the wrong time period. And luckily, though, he does not leave. So everyone hugs, and it's a sweet moment. We go back to the whatever year in the future is it?
853rd
century,
which is from century, which is from DC 1 million, which Morrison, that's him. But yeah.
It's so hard to wrap your head around that number though, because I'm like, wait a minute, we're only in the 21st. that's a lot of years in the future.
Right, which Morrison determined it was the 853rd, which is if DC Comics put out Unstopped, that's what century it would be when they got to the millionth issue.
Of what?
Of whatever issue it was.
But is that including all DC Comics, or is that like issue 1 million of like Action?
I don't know.
Okay.
I just remember them taking the calculations of 1 million, you know, what issue 1 million would be.
I'd have to assume it'd be like the millionth issue of Action or Detectives.
Or something. Yeah. But also that's way better math than Aaron did for his, 1 million BC over at Marvel. So I'll give it to him. But
So honestly, the family all working without Barry, to be honest, I kind of liked. Irie was particularly delightful. Iris being excited that Bart didn't get, whiplash back to the future. All that's good. It kind of ends with Barry just chasing Thawne.
I'll kill you.
Yeah, this is them saying this is the last time we'll ever race. I don't believe you. But
I don't Thawne is unkillable because of retcon. Like, he is the metaverse personified, right? Like, when you think that John's and his love of the Flash, he always says Flash is his favorite character, and the amount that he's changed that, and kind of if Thawne is the misery of all the Flash family, you could do the reverse, that Barry is what is their heart. He is, just like you would say that Wally's the heartbeat of the DCU, or was, and then DDO, like Mullah Ram and Temple of Doom, pulled it out and threw it into the fire. But Barry's the reason why all the good stuff happens. And I do like that because it does put them as this yin-yang of the Speed Force. Even so much that Thawne was able to master the negative Speed Force by basically incepting negative thoughts into members of the Flash family. So yeah, it's very like a culmination of all Flash stuff that I love. So I got to give Williamson credit for that.
Yeah. I thought it was good. I felt a little cynical just because it's like we're kind of doing the same thing again. We're all excited because a bunch of characters showed up. And even though, yes, there was a couple of characters in there that I was specifically quite excited about, it felt a little formulaic to me because of that. So I can't sing it with too many praises. But that said, though, I mean, I still enjoyed it, and it's still, head and shoulders above a good chunk of what this run's been, between, the year one and the stuff before year one and whatnot. So, yeah. And the art was pretty solid, too. Really fit the kinetic feel of what the Flash should feel like.
That's Howard Porter, right?
Yeah, Howard Porter.
Yeah, Howard Porter. Probably one of my favorite current Flash artists.
Yeah, I mean, that last page, I mean, the colors specifically, there's just such a wide array of colors behind them. So the tunnel, the tunnel in the Speed Force, whatever they're running, is like all blue and purples, but around them, they've got all the red and yellow lightning. So, very, very colorful. All right, Matt, what are you giving?
I'm going to give this an 8.
Okay, I'm going to go with a 7.
There you go.
I think it's good, but a little bit formulaic. So, yeah, that's for me. Hawkman, issue 27, Robert Venditti writing, with Fernando Passarin on the art. Matt can't contain his excitement. Please take it away.
That's because it's like the best book every month.
This is a quick jaunt to the JSA. We know there's only 3 issues after this left,
including this.
To 30.
No, I think 29 is the last one, isn't it?
29 is the last one. So, we don't get a lot of the Justice Society, but the main crux of it is that now that Hawkman realizes he can die,
he's terrified of dying.
Everything, right? Because now this is his last life, right? And he's got to beat the game. And I love that, but
this idea of every time he was in battle before as the JSA, JLA, whatever he was,
wherever he was,
he was fearless in battle because he's like, if I die, I die. I'll come back. Don't worry about it.
He's playing with house money.
Yeah. But now there's actual stakes. Now it matters. It's like, shit, do I want to be doing this?
And so we get the Justice Society fighting, I would say, the Injustice Society. And just, this is why I love Venditti writing these characters. He just gets the team dynamic of this era, because I brought up Freedom Fighters the last time, and it's very similar. There's this pulpiness to them where they're definitely out of time down to the dialogue, but it works. And yeah, just the stuff with Wildcat fighting Huntress, who not the Huntress I know, so that was new. Just like the I'm not going to stay down stuff, and
just really just classic 101 Wildcat beats.
Yeah,
and that's pretty much what it is for all of them here. They're like Alan, he shines, not because of his green light, but because of his heart. I think it was. And
I'm wondering if this is going to play into if he took the Tynan characterization of the tweak that Tynan made in the Green Lantern.
I very much suspect that is the case.
Because for him to say something like that he shines because he's him, not just because of the ring, I like that. That adds another layer to Alan Scott. And of course there's Jay getting to be Jay, and Dodds Sandman. I need to read more of him. I love that concept.
Yeah, it's great. And this is like you get like one beat of each of the team each. And so you can't do anything particularly deep in this issue.
No.
And maybe ultimately not in the rest of this run because there's not enough time to really explore the JSA, unfortunately, in 3 issues. But you get just enough to be like, yep, okay, this is why this is the team.
Yep, and you get a nice combo with convo with Hawkwoman and him that they don't appear as we see them. They appear in their traditional.
We see them in their, how we've seen them all run, and that's how they see themselves. That's how they see each other.
Right.
But if they look in an actual reflection, it shows what the world sees, and it's the look of the time.
And that Carter realized that this day would come. He doesn't realize it'd be so soon. That he thought he had a whole lot more,
Yeah, there's a part of him like he says he thought part of him believed that he'd never atone, so he was just he'd never actually confronted the reality that this might happen someday because he never actually expected it.
And yeah, so elsewhere we get this weird beat of this dark house in a Saber, and I'm like, oh man, This is the thing that set it all off with Khufu and stuff. And you know, we get their conversation, and then towards the end, it looks like someone's doing a dark ritual with this dagger or saber, whatever it is. That this time there'll be no rebirth, and it looks like it's half set.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
gonna send them to their final death. Which, if I had to guess, right? If I had to guess, this just starts the reincarnation over. Right? You can't do Hawkman without reincarnation.
Yeah. Right? Like, obviously, writers, they like to play with the toys and do things, but a lot of the time they put things back where they found them for someone else. And I think there's a lot of things you can change about Hawkman and, you know, the current situation. You can leave them in, this is the life now, play with it. But I think the core reincarnation aspect probably has to stay.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you're bringing the Egyptian stuff back into this, and that's kind of where it started. And Venditti had changed it just enough that it's always been, and it was through time and space, which was fun.
But now we did all the time and space, and now we're doing Egyptian stuff again.
And now we're back through the time. It's like Hawkman himself. It's just going to keep reincarnating.
Yeah.
Right? This is just the character through the multiverse that he keeps reincarnating because that's what the multiverse needs. But yeah, just the art Passarin does. Each of these characters, there's a cleanliness to the art that's just been here that really lends itself to the Justice Society.
Even cleaner than it has done in previous issues. I don't know if that's intentional, like, you know, that he is playing it up for the, you know, it's the 40s JSA stuff. But it is so clean, really tight inks. It's
and just like
stuff.
His J, it's a combination of Flash stuff, but also Flash of that time, which was drawn as multiple versions. But also there's the Speed Force lines going through him, you know, which is real cool.
I like how he never draws J all issue that I can think of without a smile.
Right.
Like every single panel.
I mean, when he realizes that it's a mirage because he's fighting
sure, that one moment where something goes wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, he's just enjoying life, and then, you know, Sandman and how everything's obscured, but it's still clean.
I actually really like the lettering on Sandman.
Yeah.
His
Which
bubble is not neat. It's gravelly. It's, you know, a little warbled. And that translates to the letters as well, not just the bubble. Not enough that it ever makes it difficult to read at all. It's like still very easy to read. You don't even, you know, think twice about that. But it's just different enough that you feel the different voice that he's got to everyone else.
Yeah, and a really great splash single page of Hawkman just taking it to Per Degaton, smashes his hand, and you can see the impact with the mace by the way that it bends the barrel of the gun that's on the ground, and then just gives him the what for. This won't last forever.
Gorgeous stuff. And then Jeremy Cox's colors as well, especially in the stuff going on with the, you know, the ritual, and, you know, in the dagger, you know, the Egyptian themed rooms, you know, gorgeous, you know, red fire glows. Like, you know, the colors are great throughout. They're always, you know, really clean, bright, vibrant, but not like shiny, like they can sometimes come across as. But you know, those other scenes really stood out in particular as just, you know, being brought to life by the colors in the way that, you know, a lot of the rest of it isn't. Not because the colors are bad, but because they're not the focal point. But they give it so much extra depth in those pages.
I'm gonna miss this book so much. This is the best book that DC's been putting out for at least the last year.
I mean,
I would say.
Yeah, it hurts. This is coming to an end. I'm there for whatever Venditti does next, especially if it's to do with any of these characters. I'm doubly there, but
just the fact that his name's pretty prominent in the Solicits this month.
It's promising, yeah. Honestly, Venditti is the biggest hero story of Rebirth for me.
Yeah. For reals.
Coming into Rebirth, I was like, I don't really like Venditti a lot. Like, I didn't really like his Green Lantern at the time. I didn't really like his Flash at all. But I'd liked his Exo Man of War for Valiant, and I know he's capable of stuff that I like. But I was worried that maybe he wasn't capable of stuff that I liked in the DC universe. And then, I was reading Hal and Pals, and it turned out, actually, it's just his Hal I don't like. I like the rest of his Green Lanterns. And then...
Yeah, his Flash was really rough, but I also put that on editorial. A lot of stuff that he was doing just seemed like it had to fill a certain void, and putting him with Wallace or putting Wallace with him, and it wasn't all well thought out. And I came into Rebirth not liking Venditti, but then Hal and Pals, going back and reading that, just again the team dynamics. I should have brought that up too. His team dynamics in Hal and Pals was there. I mean, we got Guy and Arkalo's bromance.
So good.
There, and the 4 corpsemen, and he's just whatever he does, I'm there with. Yeah. Also, as Freedom Fighters, again, if people haven't gone back and checked that out, it's worth the read.
I do need to read the rest of that. I think I fell behind because I missed a week and I had 2 weeks worth of stuff, and that was. It was a separate book, so it was the easiest one to justify. Going, well, I'll leave that one, and never got back to it. But I did enjoy what I read, and I do plan on reading it all at some point, especially now that I'm a Venditti fan. So,
yeah. All right, Connor, read it.
For the 3rd issue of Hawkman in a row, because I checked my records earlier, another 9.
Man, I don't like when we line up, but I'm also giving it a 9.
We line up a lot on Hawkman.
We do, but that's because we have good taste when it comes to dogs.
Yeah.
So,
Batman and the Outsiders, issue 16, which is written by Bryan Hill, art by Dexter, the penultimate, I said that weird, penultimate issue of the series.
Just a little bit of news on this. Obviously, 17 is the final issue. It was solicited to be Dexter Soy. It's not anymore. They pulled Dexter Soy off, and you've got someone else.
Well, that's a shame.
Oh, no.
But, hey-ho. So this is kind of the wrap up of the fight itself, and this is actually the book I was talking about earlier. I don't know if Matt, you read this, right?
Oh yeah, I read this.
If you agree that it kind of feels like this final issue coming up is going to be an epilogue, kind of setting up where a lot of these younger characters are going to be going next. Like I would not be surprised because they've been teasing obviously casting the Batgirl outfit for one of the Joker War things. I would not be surprised if next issue she chooses or is given the option of having a Batsuit.
She gets her wings, if you will.
Yeah, because one of the main points of coming from this is that they give her a big showcase moment where she takes on like an army on her own, basically. And Shiva says to Batman, you've not given her enough. She deserves more. And he's like, you're right, she is. Or she does. So it feels like they're setting up. It feels like they're setting up maybe her advancing in some way. And Duke as well, to be fair. But Cass gets a lot of the time here. Her and Black Lightning, who Jefferson, is like, hey, I have way more power than I ever. And Batman says, you should be standing next to Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, that's how powerful you are.
I do like that Hill seemed to take this as, I'm like, this is called Batman and the Outsiders, but I really want to focus on, Black Lightning, Katana, and Cass. And that's really what he's done. I mean, sure, this is an Outsiders book, but it's been mainly theirs. And when it means, like, him being a teacher comes up again and being a principal, and that's how Black Lightning took control of his circumstance. It wasn't like Bruce where he donned a suit to go fix things. As he tried to fix things from the inside out, and that's just who he is. And I love Bryan Hill's take on that character. And then just the stuff with Shiva and Cass really comes in. But yeah, this is another one that reads real quick because of Ra's al Ghul. That fight just kind of happens, and Soya draws it wonderfully.
Oh yeah,
but there's not a lot else going on.
I mean, it comes between two sides. It comes between Cass taking on an army by herself, looking like a complete badass, and you've got Raz and Jefferson sort of floating above the city, and Raz basically threatening, hey, if you go through with this, if you fight me on this, like, I'll keep coming for you forever, because and Batman kind of reiterates the same thing after Jefferson blasts him. It's like, okay, we've won today, but now Ra's al Ghul has a vendetta against you, and he's going to keep coming because he's Ra's al Ghul. And he's like, yeah, I know, he told me. But I mean, it really has to be said, the art here. There's a full page spread of Cass fighting like 4 thugs at the same time, where it looks like she's about to like just stomp on some guy's knee. It looks gorgeous. The art is wonderful and really makes the whole book sing. But it is a really quick read because it is essentially I mean, there's a bit of dialogue between Jefferson and Ra's al Ghul, but for the most part, it's a lot of just really pretty fighting. With electrical powers on display, a lot of motion in the cast stuff. It's just a super pleasing issue, which it does go in very quickly. And it ends with Batman saying, "Hey, I've got, the Outsiders is a great idea, but you all deserve more. So I've got new stuff for all of you. What your new direction is going to be." And he says, "I'll tell you when we get back to Gotham." And that's the final page. It's just kind of him diving off the building. So it's setting up kind of an epilogue issue, which I also assume is going to be like almost a prologue issue to where a lot of these characters are going. And so I mean, the different artist is a bit of a bummer because Dexter's is so good, but at least it is kind of like a separate thing. It is kind of this epilogue kind of feel to it.
I just checked who it was, and it's Marcio Takara, so it's not a bad artist.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's all right. But it's hard to really have much of an issue. Maybe you could think, there should have been more of a fight between Jefferson and Raz, but it was more of a symbolic thing with Jefferson, like sort of utilizing his full power and standing up to him as it was like
standing
an actual
up to
fight.
Raz,
and
not being afraid, knowing he's gonna come, and that's what he's always done. Is I know there's gonna be trouble. I don't try to hide from them. I'm right here. So it makes me like Jefferson that much more as a character. Which I kind of always liked him, but it was always just like, oh, he's the electric guy, right? And I feel like Hill's really brought like a pathos, if I'm using that right, to him that I didn't know if was there before because I was not familiar with the character. So
yeah, one might say he's the most electrifying man in all of comics.
Comics, yeah, you could.
Yeah, no, I hope there's plans for some of these characters. Obviously, cast more than anyone, but I do hope. I mean,
yeah,
dropping lines like "you should be standing next to Diana and Clark" is kind of a big deal. It's like a big selling of the character. Yeah. So I hope,
and I feel like counter to that is Duke, just kind of there.
So I hope there is a plan for Jefferson in place, and he ends up somewhere in this new phase. Maybe there's a new Outsiders book where he's just the leader of a team that's not Batman associated.
And that would be really cool because I read Outsiders for the longest time, and I just like having that book.
Or maybe they go full X-Men knockoff and do like a school for metahumans that Jefferson's going to run. I mean,
the Metropolis, the school for talented teens.
Needs a better acronym than that.
It does.
Find the word Titans in there since we associate kids with powers as Titans in this world.
Coming after you can't have school because that's an S. You got to have maybe academy for an A.
Yeah.
Metropolis Academy.
Okay.
Metropolis Academy for talented teens is just Matt, and that's done.
Oh look, how did that happen?
Weird.
Oh, well, I mean, your name's not that far from MIT. I guess this is just MATT.
No, I do have an MIT shirt because that's where my stepdad went. So
there you go.
I just don't wear it because I don't want people to think I'm that smart.
Yeah, because they'll just be disappointed. You're going to give them super high expectations. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they don't have a sports program that I know of. So it's not like I can wear it, but no, I have it. You
should get like I don't want to insult any particular school here, but you should whoever you think's an easier school, get a shirt with their logo on it, and everyone's going to think.
Well, I'm sure there, in Boston, there's rival schools at Harvard or Boston University, Boston College. I'm not sure which one, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think Harvard's achieving what I was suggesting there, Matt.
Yeah, well, to some people it could. I don't know.
I feel like Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, any of these ones, maybe setting the standards a bit high before people start talking to you.
That said, I could have gone to Stanford, but I didn't. So turns out they wanted way too much money to go to school there.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Anyway, what you giving Batman the Outsider 16?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
Cool. I'm also gonna give it an 8. But I'm looking forward. I'm really looking forward to what they set up with casting that next issue. All right, cool. So there you go. That's Batman the Outsiders issue 16. Joker Harley Criminal Sanity issue 5. Cami Garcia writing with Jason Badower and Mico Suayan on the art. Am I the only one who read this?
No, so I read this,
you did,
but it was during the read. I was like, I don't remember a lot of what's been going on. I don't know how many issues are left, but I'm good. This is the last one I read for right now, and then when it all comes out, I'll get caught up because I do like what's going on. I feel like I'm missing pieces because I'm forgetting stuff. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I know I said last week I was probably going to read this, but I think I said at the end of last week, I was pretty like kind of unenthused about it because I kind of forgotten that it existed, and I wasn't that bothered by forgetting. If that, like, it wasn't like, oh, this is back. It's a nice surprise. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I had planned to read it though, but then I was running a bit late today, and then I had like 2 issues left. And one of them was Superman 25. And I got like 2 pages in and was like, yeah, okay, I'm not reading that other one.
No. So I read it with no caveats. I don't have to explain anything. I'm not feeling too bad about the forgetting things. This issue in particular feels so focused in just the meeting. Because the last issue ended with the cliffhanger of Harley coming home and Joker being there. And this sets up this idea that, he has her tied to the chair and he's is he going to kill her? Obviously he's not, but it kind of sets up this idea that he likes that she's doing such a good job of chronicling what he is and what he's been doing. And essentially it just sets some ground rules and off he goes to do his next big thing. And so now it becomes Harley having like extra information that she's too ashamed to like share with Gordon and the police because like I had him in my apartment. I almost could have tried something and took him down, and and she's thinking this as she's like punching and kicking a bag. Like she's clearly someone who keeps in shape and trains and isn't completely defenseless. So she has this skill, but we get like a flashback again of how he kills his stepfather, who's not even his, as we find out, he's not even his real father.
Not even really his stepfather. That's who he thought raised him.
Yeah.
And once he finds this out, he has 0 ties to him, and it's the first Joker murder. Yeah,
because he sort of kills him, and then he smears the blood across his mouth, and it kind of creates the Joker smile. It's almost a little, like...
On the nose.
On the nose, but, like, I did actually like what he did next, though. I liked him taking the wire coat frame and putting it in the mouth to make a forced smile. That felt like a super brutal, like, sort of... in like low budget way of doing the Joker smile on your victim.
Yeah, because we're establishing this is kind of David Fincher 7 in Gotham, and that this is his first. It wasn't necessarily the murder and the blood on his face that made him Joker in this world. It's him deciding to desecrate the body for art's sake. I say that with quotes.
What's interesting is that now we're nowhere yet in essentially David Fincher's Riddler in the movie. So there's definitely I was having that in my head as I was reading this, thinking, it's kind of funny how they're kind of going that route with another villain in the next movie. But so yeah, basically Joker releases this video of like a victim upside down in a tank in water. He's got an oxygen tank, but there's a timer running out until the person dies. It says 3 hours on it when you first see it. So they're basically looking through pools and anywhere in the city where it's, because it's clear that it's not a river or anything like that. The water's too clean. It's obviously in a pool or a tank or something. And they're looking around, needle in a haystack, checking out swimming pools, and it's kind of interesting how it's playing with the color versus the black and white pages now, because now it's not really flashbacks anymore. I mean, maybe there will still be more, but at least in this issue, the color comes into it outside of the main flashback, where the people who work in this aquarium, there's this, case that has a black, cloth over it saying open at, 10 p.m. or whatever it is. And this stuff's all in color. The discovery of the body, where he's already dead, but there's a second little timer, it's a little bomb just to smash the glass, so all the witnesses who are in the aquarium, because it's open at the time.
I got worried that we were going to get Joker sharks again. And just by bad planning because of the pandemic, and that we were going to have the 3 Jokers thing, and then here, but it doesn't go that way.
No, not at all. It would definitely be a bit more over the top for this book. Not that this book is over the top and it's serial killer stuff, but it's not over the top in that it has, Joker fish and stuff like that. And at least if it did, it would be a dead fish that he's like desecrated, not like fish that are still alive that have Joker smells on them. So yeah. But yeah, basically Joker's like watching the security feed of this aquarium as they're finding the body, and Harley's frustrated, she's feeling guilty, she's being yelled at by superiors, and the final page is Joker just watching her face on the screen saying, "See you soon, Dr. Quinn." So it's this idea that he's becoming obsessed with her, and her like fascination with him. So you can kind of see that the Harley Joker kind of like the what we saw in Harleen, for example, kind of playing out, but in a different arena. Like instead of being
but I like that it's opposite, that he's obsessed. He's actually obsessed with her because of the feedback loop of the attention, right? That she was able to figure out who he was because she's so good at her job, and he likes the attention because he's a serial killer, right? That's why he leaves these testaments to art. And
it's basically, to compare it to something that people might have seen, if you saw Mindhunter, it's kind of how like some of the Mindhunter killers love talking about it. You know, I mean, obviously personality-wise, he's nothing like Ed Kemper, but it definitely gave me like I was thinking of those types of thing where they love talking about what they've done because they love to get the attention. They love to tell people the details and all the little quirks they put into it because they're really proud of all the little things. This is like, oh, this is someone who finally kind of is calling what I'm doing art. Not that she's into it and as an art, but she recognizes that's what it is to him. That these literally the way he's displaying the bodies, the way he's doing all these things are all art pieces to him. Yeah. I didn't feel too lost when I was reading this, to be honest, even though there is big gaps between the issues, which
it was one of these things where I was trying to piece together the dad stuff, which I had forgotten about, and like her bringing up that I had the guy that killed in here, and she got really mad, and it took me a second to remember all of that stuff too. So I'm like, I just want to read this and enjoy it, as you know what I mean, as quick as I can. Not as quick, but you know what I mean, where it's all right after the other. So
yeah, I mean, as it stands, I still plan on reading it as it's coming out. I've been enjoying it. The art is definitely not necessarily always perfect, but there's definitely a spectacle to the art because it's going for this completely different look to what most comic books have. Yeah, so good. The black and white stuff especially, I think. But what are you giving the issue, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
Yeah, I'll probably go the straight 8, I think, on this one. So there you go. So that will take us out of the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week. Do our favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and top 5 books of the week. And I think most of us read 6. Matt might have read 7.
I only read 4.
You only read 4? Well, okay. Connor only read 4. But that's what we're gonna do. So take us off with panel / moment, Matt. What you got?
Oh man.
Oh, Mike. We'll go to Connor first.
Do not start with Matt. I'm gonna be different and not go from the metal thing like I assumed I would have done. I'm gonna go from Hawkman instead because that's really unconventional for me. I'm gonna go for the page after the one where Hawkman hits Degaton, because you have the big full page splash of it, but the page after is split into 4 panels, and it's all the other members taking down someone else in one punch with a little witty line that they all have, and I really enjoyed that page. That was a blast.
Yeah, Matt.
From Hawkman or Trinity Crisis, or I could pull from Flash. But I'll pull from Trinity Crisis since Connor didn't, and it's going to be the page of that Justice League where they had just used Swamp Thing as you know, he pulled all the green, and you have Jonah Hex and Harley and Batman, and it's just a really good Manapul page.
Yeah, that is fair. I'm probably This is I don't have like an obvious pick this week. I think I'm probably tempted to go with probably something from Trinity Crisis. Let's say when they're getting into the ground at first, when Swamp Thing kind of opens up, because the way it plays with like silhouettes and shadows on that page I quite like. So I'll go with that. I don't have like a really stand out moment as much this week though, I have to admit. I kind of had to put some thought into that there. So best cover of the week. Matt, you can go first this one.
Oh man, this one's tough. I forgot to look for what's well, let me check the Trinity Crisis what the variant looked like over there. All right, well this is taking too long, so I'm just going with Hawkman because it's just
yeah, that's a solid choice. But honestly, nothing comes close to the Wonder Woman variant, the Middleton one for me. That is just stand out easily. My favorite this week.
Yeah, I'm torn between two of the variants. I like the Flash variant quite a bit. That has Bart and Wallace on it. It's quite pretty. I think I'm gonna go with the variant to Joker Harley though. It's just a really nice cover. Colors pop in a really dark, grimy kind of setting. I mean, it's kind of par for the course with that book, but it sticks out kind of distinctively from the other ones this week. So, there we go. So best art of the week. I'll jump in first for this one, and I will say Soy on Batman the Outsiders.
Shocked. Shocked, I tell you.
Well, Matt, what you got?
I could go Manapul, but that I don't want to do Pete and just give it. So I'm gonna go with Passarin on Hawkman.
Okay, Connor.
Well, seeing as he's already done Passarin, I'll take Manapul because one of us has to represent.
Right.
I didn't realize that I was supposed to be surprising with my pick.
I actually could have gone with Reis for Superman because that is the best part of that book. Also, Howard Porter on Flash.
You have to be able to see more of his art on Superman.
I mean, there was enough for me to see, so it was good.
Everyone thinks they're being smart when they crack the joke about the too many bubbles. I can't see the art properly.
Yeah.
All right, top books of the week. Rank them. Gonna go, Matt.
Okay, so number 1's gonna be Hawkman. Number 2 is Trinity Crisis. Number 3 is Flash. Number 4 is Batman and Outsiders, and number 5 is I guess I'll go Wonder Woman.
Cool.
No Superman, that hurt.
Connor.
Hawkman, the metal one, and Wonder Woman, yeah,
and Superman number 4.
Well, no, because that's a Patreon book, and we don't rank Patreon books.
You do, it's a new release, and we talked about this because it's a new release.
That's not the rules.
It's my show, it's my rules. There you go, done. My rankings, probably Trinity Crisis, Outsiders, Joker Harley, Wonder Woman, Flash. There you go.
Easy. You could say that Outsiders were too sweet.
That's a wrestling joke that Connor's not going to get, but there you go. There you go. What's that?
Oh,
now, here's where we check before we do the. Well, actually, I'll give you next week's books before we check for news. So next week's books. What's coming? Where's my tab?
Not a lot, to be honest.
No.
Really? Interesting.
A couple of oversized books, though.
So coming next week, we have Batman 89. It was notably has Nightwing in the cover, I want to point out. We got Detective Comics 1027, Justice League 53, Teen Titans 45, Catwoman 25, The Batman's Grave issue 10, and Metal Men issue 10. Oh, I'll definitely do a Patreon book next week.
Yeah.
Ain't a lot there. What was the oversized book? Oh, Detective.
And Catwoman's oversized as well, I believe.
That's right. That's a good point, yes. Detective Comics next... Yeah, Detective Comics next week is the 144-page issue, because it's the... So, you know what? That basically accounts for the fact that there's not a lot of other books.
Yeah, I'm looking at the contents, the front cover with all the teams. Tomasi's story, Bendis story, Fraction story, Rucker, Tynan, DeConnick, Wolfman, Morrison, King, Snyder, Jurgens, and that's the Generations one, and then Tamaki.
Cool.
So basically, if you've written Batman in the last 20 years, you'll probably be on this.
Yeah.
Looks like it, yeah.
Pretty much. So that is what's coming next week. So obviously the Detective will kind of be the focus of the show, and then we'll have a few other things there as well. And I'll probably still do a Patreon book. I know I said I joked once he realized that book was so big. But
so this is Ram V's first Catwoman. Am I right?
It is, yes.
And it's a tie-in to Joker War.
It is, but it seems
Collateral
to have
Damage.
So Fernando Blanco is obviously the main artist. I think he's the main artist on the book anyway, and has been with Joel Jones for a while, if I recall, or at least off and on, if not. But there's 2 backup tales in it, which I'm assuming are not going to be tie-ins with John Paul Leon and Ferrer on art for those.
Yeah,
so,
Ram V's the only writer listed on Comic Geeks, so
which means he's presumably doing the backups as well.
Yeah, so maybe the main story is a tie-in, but then the backups are actually setting up his own run.
Could be, yeah.
Possible. So we'll see. So yeah, maybe I'll probably give Catwoman 25 a try, see how it is.
I might. It depends.
Because you know how I will, given how much I've been enjoying Ramby on Justice League Dark.
So there you go. That's what's coming next week. All right then. Well, it's probably a good idea for us to check if there's been any news from DC fandom in the last 2.5 hours.
Not been a lot, if I'm honest with you. I don't know if that's because there is no news or it's people working through the panels and it's less big announcements and more snippets of information.
Let's be honest, we were expecting a slate of books for January, and I think unless they specifically put those at a certain time later on, which as far as I understand, nothing's timed for later, then this is kind of disappointing. That we have a few snippets of things.
It's interesting you say about the things being timed, because technically everything is available there to watch as you choose, but there is also a scheduled programming as well. So it's possible that news sites are kind of working through stuff on the scheduled programming first, because you still have to watch it in real time. I
don't buy for a second that after 2+ hours that all the juicy bits of news wouldn't be out already.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I went and looked through earlier, and nothing was coming.
Yeah, I was looking
bits of like TV stuff. The only comics thing we have is them going, there's more Earth 1 stuff on the way.
Yeah, I was looking whilst you two were talking about Justice League Dark, and that Earth 1 snippet, if you can even call it that, was the only thing that I found.
Yeah.
Comic book wise, anyway.
TV stuff, obviously, we mentioned Doom Patrol. They had a thing for the Young Justice season 4. They had some casting stuff for Legends of Tomorrow, some stuff about Pennyworth season 2, and no announcement for Harley Quinn season 3 yet, which is unacceptable, frankly.
That's a crying shame. But they've announced Doom Patrol season 3, so the important thing's been announced.
No, Harley Quinn is better than Doom Patrol.
Robin,
that's how good it is.
I will agree. And that's no shots at Doom Patrol, but Harley Quinn's way easier to digest.
It's so good, and Pete is doing himself a disservice by not watching it.
Yeah. So no, I will say this is disappointing. Now, obviously, this slate of books is going to come at some point because it has to, but it's weird unless they put it out later today. Maybe there's.
It's worth noting that all these panels that are here today were things that were recorded when it was still supposed to be one event before, and they've just held them off. So maybe it would have been too early.
I mean, sure, but like they know they're going to have to make these announcements. They should have recorded one new thing for this. They can still use the rest of them. This is. I'll be honest. I'm sure there'll be some cool snippets, and some people might enjoy watching some of the panels. But this all feels a bit lukewarm to me. It feels like all the big announcement stuff, which was all movie related and video game related, came in the last part. And this one so far feels like it's got nothing other than, hey, do you like panels where you get to hear some people talk about what they're doing, which is fun.
Some people love panels.
Some people do love panels, but it's not newsworthy.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's get this cool because I gotta go buy Tony Hawk now because they didn't have it at Target yesterday.
You haven't bought it yet, Matt. It's been a whole week.
No. I had to get wrestling last week. I got a budget, man.
I played Avengers instead.
If your muscle memory comes back, Matt, you'll be.
So my brother was already complaining because he's so used to open world that the 2-minute time limit was messing him up.
Oh, I hate the open world ones. No. This is better. Classic style's better.
Tony Hawk Underground is one of my favorite games of all time. But those are 2-minute challenges within the open world. It's fine. Well, open levels, I guess. The game's fantastic.
It's a little tough at first because your stats are so low. You have to collect some stats before you start to get into the, you know, so you can spin fast enough or whatever.
Yeah. Also, it's weird to see Tony Hawk in Vans because when I was growing up, he wore Airwalks, and that's who did the Tony Hawk shoes. So now to see all of this Tony Hawk Vans footage, anytime, you know, he's doing something for the game, it's really weird to me. But yeah, I went to go pick it up last night when I got my new blender and they were all out. And then, like a child, I copped attitude and got mad. Apparently, they don't want you to sit on the floor. You know,
it's a perfectly reasonable reaction.
Yeah. So I'm not going to leave until you guys give me Tony Hawk. And they said, "Sir, you have to leave."
I mean, if you were that desperate, you could have just bought it on the digital.
I did, but I want it. I want the, you know, there. I'm weird.
But you did buy it digitally?
No, I could.
Oh, right, okay.
No, I'm going to go check another store that I don't like going to.
Sure.
To see if they have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt's going on a quest to find Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake.
Yes.
Expect updates on Twitter.
Yes.
You will. If it's not going to be hockey, it's going to be Tony Hawk. So, which weirdly has never felt more like me being back in high school. It's hockey and Tony Hawk, and that's really all I care about. So, you know.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm hoping they do the third game as DLC, or even just do 3 and 4 as a second game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the iconic level from the third one? Because now they all kind of run together.
Oh yeah, I think 3 had a lot of my favorite levels. The airport level was in 3. Okay. The suburbia with all the Halloween decorations was 3.
Yes.
Canada was 3. Not the furnace.
Those are the good ones.
Like a factory. It's like the first one's like a factory.
The factory.
Yeah. Yeah. 3's got a lot of 3's levels are really good.
Yeah.
So
good. And then 4, I don't even remember. I just remember Underground.
I never played much of 4. 4 was kind of when it started to slip away a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Then you had Underground. American Wasteland was kind of bad. But no, those games kept me from doing my homework. These will keep me from doing housework.
So yeah.
Oh, Jim Lee did confirm that 5G is not going to happen. Like outright, flat out said, if you're looking forward to 5G, it's not going to happen, and the reports online have been wrong speculation.
Okay, well, that's a bit non-news, but
yeah, but just to get that out there, you know, for anyone who was still clinging on hope, maybe after the Generations one shot popped up, that's what they were hoping for.
All right, so let us know what you thought of this week's books in the comments and all that jazz. Please do like if you're on YouTube. Liking is super important. It's a nice, easy, and free way to support everything we do and help keep all the content coming. More people will find us. Same if you rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, 5 stars and a review helps us out a lot. If you want to support us financially, you can do it over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month and get some bonuses for your troubles. In fact, I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month of September, and it's actually popping up a little bit over Matt's face there, not much but a little bit. So thank you to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Short, Board Now, Al Tribesman, Christopher Moy, and Brett Williams. They are our Patreon producers for the month of September, so thank you to you guys once again. So guys on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast for updates and shenanigans and whatever else, but that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, guys, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.
Also, Robin Leonard's really good, and Flurry's underrated, and Go Knights Go.